Sorry we're late, guys. Welcome. I have a couple of excuses. First off, I need glasses, and really, when I looked at the laptop, my notebook, I thought it was like 6:28 when it was like um, or 6:32 when it was 6:42. So, secondly, I felt kind of nauseous from something, and I had to make sure I was gonna die first. But no, we're all right. Um, Governor Newsom just tipped 3367. It's very ironic because you just sent me an invitation to go to your live stream. I was just reading Governor Newsom's uh, invite to tomorrow night's live stream. He's going to be meeting with constituents, and I was invited. Um, it's funny because I bet a lot of money on Gavin Newsom to run for president last election, and unfortunately, with all the Kamala Harris and the last minute replacement for Biden and everything, the Democrats didn't get their shit together. Um, so, well, hopefully we're gonna get a real candidate, but a lot of stuff before that. Um, all right. So anyway, Mr. Newsom has donated 3367 to bring us up to 1799.1. It's funny because he's always asking me for donations, and now here he is donating 3367 to me. All right, we got to fight the Texas redistricting. Big battle in California right now, politically speaking, to try to compensate for Texas. So anyway, on a non-political front, the Philosopher's King. Unfortunately, we will have to be a subscriber in order to have your game analyzed. All right. In addition, Mr. Newsom showed up. Mr. Slowhand showed up and resubscribed Tier 1 for 71 months. So that's how I know how long it's been since I've been to the United States. Mr. Sohan gifting a Tier 1 sub to the Philosopher's King. There we go. We settled that too. So he donated, he gifted, and he's resubscribed himself. That covers basically everything. So Philosopher's King, if you want to send me a game, you sent me. Okay. Yeah, I was like nauseous. Like my digestion was not good, but I didn't eat anything like really toxic today, so I don't understand. All right, so we got game submissions from Nefidov and Brownie. You got a gift sub now. Following me doesn't count. Alright, Nefidov also submitting a game. Oh no. GM got a Kemsky GM. Fred Rogers, meow. Fred Rogers. Pionichas. So Nefidov, thank you. Alright, Nefidov is in. Brownie, the Philosopher game. And sent me a game. Oof. That's a long one. But it just looks long. Alright, it's not actually that long. Copy. Learn. Study. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me. Alright. IGM. GM got a Kamsky. Paste. Why doesn't he just call himself the real Gadakamsky? Alright. We got 7 games. Sorry about the late start, guys. I was feeling ill. I hope I don't have to vomit during the stream again like 2 weeks ago. That was like the worst. I think I'm gonna be okay. Alright. I ate a bunch of peanuts and Apple earlier. I didn't think it would like affect me, but something. Giachil against Astrobate. We've got Erno Garabin versus Yefim Geller. Nozrachev versus Krapnik. Well, Vladislav against Krapnik. Marianne Kofer against Redusa. Mule Skinner against Arami. That's like a WFM or something. IGM GK against Sefidov. And Chapter 7. Bijak. Uh-oh. Don't tell me you you sent in a game? Okay. Yeah, he's like chat banned or whatever. He sends me secret chats. I want to type Bijak. So tricky with the multiple names. Keep it in your brand. Keep just in the simpler brand. One brand. I just blocked you. I don't want to compose a message, man. I just want to see his messages. Alright. Wow. Perfect game. Alright, I don't know what's wrong with me today. I just feel like crap. What is going on? I shouldn't feel like crap today. No reason for me to feel like crap today. Okay, so Schumacher should be in there in like 6th place or something. You're actually, were you even ahead of Nefedov maybe? It's probably faster. We'll do the games in order of the people that are here. Astrobate, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub. Maybe if I put on my glasses, I won't feel so nauseous. God. I hate these glasses, though. I need to get real glasses. Snotbot. Alright. 58 days to go to the World Senior. Mr. Slivering is up to 1799.1. Don't forget the point 1. Alright, we got 10 viewers. We're setting a world record. Did you hear about the Kick streamer who died yesterday? Whew, it's a good thing I stopped streaming on Kick. This is scary, man. They were like hazing him or something. He did some kind of like 10-day stream where there were other streamers. I don't know exactly what happened, but the dude literally died. Now Kick is under investigation by the French authorities. They were like abusing the guy or something. He had like heart problems. Don't abuse me, okay? So we've got Giachi against Astrobate, Erno Garabin. Alright, we're going to start with Astrobate. So Astrobate is black. Make black great again. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was something like exhaustion, like 10 days streaming. Or I don't know, some ridiculous stream marathon, but it was like combining. He was like a video game streamer, but they were also doing like gags and stuff live. Alright. Giachi Astrobate. So let's take a look here. This is a short one. So Astrobate, you showed me another game against the same player. C5, knight f3, knight c6. So white plays knight to c3. Oh, this is weird. Astrobate. He literally kicked the streaming bucket. Dude, Astrobate has never played this move. It's not a good joke to die. It's not a good joke about dying when I feel like crap today. I was fine. Maybe I picked something up. All right, e6. This Astrobate never plays. Where's my opening? Astrobate, you never play e6. We have terrible weather here too. Maybe that's what it is. Actually, now that you mention it, like it's like a low pressure system here. I don't know. It's hot, but it's also raining and humid. Very strange weather here. Maybe it's like a front or something that's affecting me. But that's not why I was like nauseous. I feel better now, but my head is like groggy too. I'm just old. Yeah, maybe. Astrobate, you've never played this move. Can I see? You faked him out, though. This is funny. Astrobate playing black here. Dude, I put that as black. Wow, you've played e6 27 times in this position. What? Okay, first off, Astrobate doesn't play knight c6 that often. This is a suggestion of mine. He mostly plays g6 on move 2. But I am actually kind of stunned at this point. He's actually played like a quarter of his games with e6. And the guy, you know, it's funny because ironically against g6, h4 wouldn't be that bad. But this guy plays e6, h4, which is absolutely stupid. Masters database, obviously no games. So here, Astrobate, you're doing the wrong thing. Maybe after g6 you can consider playing h5 as a stopper. But this is so inappropriate that the answer to this flank attack is a strike in the center. So there's absolutely no question you should play d5. The only question is when. And, you know, your options include like throwing in a6 first, possibly considering playing knight f6 first. But there should be d5 coming in the next 2 or 3 moves. In the next 1 to 3 moves, you should play d5. So you could throw this in first. You can throw this in first. If he goes here, he overextends himself. This pawn is gone. Or you can just go d5 right away. It's all good. But h5, you're justifying his ridiculous move. So that's very bad. Now White plays an even worse move, rook g1. Karyakin chess, no relation to Karyakin, of course, has played rook g1. It's like White wants to play g4 or something. Total drug move. Knight f6, concretely taking over the g4 square. Of course, rook g1 is ridiculous. White can play any sort of normal move here. d3 position is fine. After h5, White's position is fine again. You justified his stupid move. Anyway, knight f6, rook g1 is really bad. So now it's not a question of h4 and h5, it's a question of rook g1. Which is similar to h4 in the fact that he's taken away his own right to castle king side. He's played a pointless move that is slow on the flank. So I think here again, black should strike in the center with d5. It's not obligatory, obviously. But you'd be fully justified in playing d5. Now, you know, maybe White can castle queenside or something. But again, you're not obligated. Now, this move bothers me a little bit, considering that you played the knight takes f2 against me yesterday in the same tournament. So let me ask you a question, Astrobate. What happened first? Your game against me or your game against this guy? Maybe you beat this guy and then you were like excited about knight takes f2, so you busted out on me too? Phew, this is... I don't know how he's 1900. There might be some drugs involved in the way that White is playing. So knight g4, d4. Maybe not such a stupid move, but this diagonal is really sensitive. Come to think of it, it is a bad move because of this bishop c5. Maybe he should actually consider going here. Another one of Astrobate's favorite moves. A mirror image on the other side. But under the circumstances, this might be a lot safer than actually taking the pawn. He takes, and now this is very strong. Phew, bro. White is practically lost. He takes on c6 too. Oh my god. You win a mirror pawn. Bishop takes f2 check. And now watch this. Of course you take with the b pawn. Threatening mate in a few. Check. King f3. Check. Bishop f4. And now I don't know. I mean, maybe we should just play knight e5 check here. Because look at this. He's going to get away, though. He's going to get away king f2, king e1. If you play knight e5 check, king f2, queen takes check, king e1. And obviously White's position is a total disaster, but maybe he doesn't lose right away. It's pretty bad, though. White's pretty far gone. Probably just bishop takes, rook takes, queen takes h4 check. We're up tons of pawns. Horrible game by White. Now you go here, though. Now e6 is hanging. Not a little concerned about that, maybe? I think we could be, a little concerned about that. Not my favorite game. So he plays rook takes h4. Queen h4. Oh, he missed his queen f2 mate. Oh my god. Yeah, well, this guy plays ridiculously fast. He played more games than Asterbate. You beat him. He beat you by 1, right? 21 games. To Asterbate's 20 games. Hotel for 2. Hotel for tea. Yeah, you're not subbed at the minute. Or moment, even. I'm not subbed at the minute. I gotta say, Asterbate, you gotta stop, moving the same piece twice. But in this case, this is a pretty good move. I mean, knight g4, and the way he played it really justified it completely with d4. So I mean, he has the same ability to go to g5 to try to use the g5 square. But lesson from this game is really when White does something crazy like h4 on the flank, you need to strike in the center. And if you really don't like, say bishop b5, you can play a6 first and then go with d5 on the next move. That's probably very strong. Asterbate gifted a tub. Yeah, I'm actually 2 gift subs from Asterbate. Mattias B and Hotel Not T. They rhyme. Mattias B and Hotel Not T. I'm trying to put myself together. I was pretty okay today, but we have hard weather. I felt like nauseous before the stream. Now I feel better. I think I ate something weird. All right. So Hungarian master Erno Garabin. This is a submission from Mr. Slow, who donated today 33 for Gavin Newsom, 3367. Hopefully the next presidential candidate for the Democrats in the United States. I had a big bet at like 14-1 odds for the last election that Newsom would be the Democratic candidate. I was close. It ended up not being Biden. I made a huge bet, and if Newsom had run, I would have won like thousands of dollars. But instead, the Kamala was in there, and I lost, a little bit of money. But it was huge odds too. I had the right concept. I was just a couple years too early. Of course, now the odds would be much lower, as he's a favorite. But anyway, off the political topic, we're going to Garabin versus Geller. Let me add this in the proper way. So we're going to see it from black side. Mr. Slow's been submitting these games from Geller's book, which has been published under a couple different titles. Depending on what language, uh, application of chess theory. Yeah, that's the main title. Although I think I've seen some others. We're talking about gambling. It's better than politics. Yeah, no, I mean that was more gambling than politics, but you're gambling on politics, so it's both. But I was it's kind of ridiculous, right? Like I picked the right guy, but like 4 years too early. Um, but Newsom is making a lot of waves. Finally, he's gonna do it. I think directly challenging Trump. All right, so what do we got there? What do you think about? We don't talk about philosophy here. Sorry, you're gonna have to go to a Jesse Cry stream for that. Look up Chess Dojo. So Erno Garibin against Yefim Geller. We're black. White is Hungarian Grandmaster, Hungarian International Master Erno Garibin, who was much older than Geller. So the Hungarian Revolution was in '56. A lot of Hungarians immigrated to the United States. That's when the greatest number of Hungarians emigrated outside of Hungary. So Garibin apparently went to Switzerland in 1956. We've got, but again, he must have been quite a bit older because I recognize his name from playing some really old school tournaments. Garibin literally played with like Marazzi and people like that. So he's white against Geller, big underdog. I don't know what this event was. Oh, Budapest, 1952. Okay, so this was it's tricky because there's a tournament in Bucharest in '53. I think like Korchnoi was very young, played in that. People get confused between Bucharest and Budapest. Budapest 1952, not as famous a tournament as probably. I mean, Sabo probably played. I know he's one of Arsenal's favorites. Anyway, Erno playing white. E4, C5, knight of 3, D6, D4, take, knight of 6, knight C3. And Geller, well, we've seen a lot of Spanishes, but he's good in the Sicilian too, with both colors. Oh, I know this game. I think I know this game. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is interesting because, in those days, White did not play this. White did not play this H3 very often. So it's like 1952. H3 became popular in like 1990. So this is funny to see a game back in the 50s where White plays H3. What later became kind of like an attacking idea. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I forget exactly when H3 was popular. Maybe it was actually later. There was a period in the 90s where I guess Rook G1 started to be played. Well, fashion, goes in and out. But anyway, so H3 kind of a modern line. White can go back to a kind of solid setup. It was played by Fischer. I didn't know that, but you can do a hybrid. Also, like Soltis. Well, that was against the Dragon actually. Soltis played it against the Dragon, I think. But anyway, okay. It wouldn't surprise me if Fischer played H3. But anyway, what I was going to say was White doesn't necessarily have to play like a maniac with G4. White can also just go back to kind of a G3 type thing, depending on what Black does. So what's surprising now is that Geller plays, he like turns it into a classical Sicilian with knight to C6. And that's I'm going to go back to the Masters database here. You're going to see, look at the statistics. See why this is surprising. Experienced player, he goes back into a classical Sicilian with knight to c6. But, you know, if you look at the database, e5 is by far the most common move, and I think it's the best move, objectively. This move controls the center. It's committal, but it's probably best. Black gets enough space, gets their fair share of space with e5. E6 is like very common, but less space, more flexible, more dangerous. And then you can play a kind of dragon as well. So all three of those moves are more common than the text move knight c6. The nice thing about the dragon there is that, you know, h4 h5, well, it isn't happening. White's played h3 for g4. So dragon makes a lot of sense against h3. But no, he goes knight c6. I don't know exactly why. If there's like a really big reason why Geller played knight c6. I mean, to be honest, though, my assumption is that h3 was uncommon. Maybe he just played a move. You know what's funny, though? That now that I think about it, in all my years of playing the classical Sicilian, you never see anybody play h3 here. It's never happens. I cannot remember like almost anybody playing h3 against me in the classical. And it still makes some sense. But now, you know, would black play a6, for example? You could play g6, same thing, you know. So you never know. Like, you could transpose. a6 is always a useful move. h3, not quite as much. Knight to c6. Okay, this is unusual for Najdorf players to play knight c6, though. Because the typical Najdorf players are usually putting pressure on the e4 pawn. And if you put your knight on c6, it's in the way of the c-file. It's in the way of a bishop on b7 attacking. It's not supporting d5. Anyway, so it's not really a Najdorf after this. I think that's the main point. So g4. And now e6 would be kind of a normal move. G6 still a normal move. And apparently queen b6 is a good move. But Geller plays knight takes d4. Just trading pieces, which, you know, I don't think it's the best move, but it's okay. Knight takes d4, queen takes d4. So white gets the queen centralized. It can be attacked, and it is attacked by e5 now. Black gets a little bit of space. White plays queen d3, and this seems best. And now black has a very typical choice between like bishop e6, bishop e7, and, you know, possibly b5, I would say. Why can't white what does h3 have to do with that, though? You know? I don't know. Arsenal, we know you just like the Richie Rouser or whatever. But I suppose white could play knight takes c6. I don't think it's a great move. I'm just not really sure what h3 has to do with this. Claim positional compensation. I don't know if you can claim positional compensation. I would probably take the pawn. It's a central pawn. I mean, queen takes d8 check, king takes d8. What are you going to do? Bishop e3? I'm not really buying it. But, you know, it may be like some compensation. Yeah. The computer says it's plus 0.2. It actually likes bishop d2 better than bishop e3. It's interesting. It's not stupid. It's not stupid. No one has ever played e5 here. This is a theoretical novelty you came up with. It is apparently playable. So, but I don't know. I just don't think that h3 really, has any relevance in this position, particularly. But white might not be worse. Difficult to say that's better than anything else, though. You would trade a lot of pieces. g4, takes, e5, queen d3, and now how do you decide what to do with black? Look at how terrible black's score is in this position based on 18 games. Atrocious. Yet it's a fine position. It's really weird. g4 isn't so great for white. It's kind of weakening, to be honest. Maybe Geller didn't play the best possible way, but I think it's a very valid, perfectly okay way to play. And if I look at the position, I feel like white has just kind of played g4 sort of randomly. But as you can see, most people prefer here to play bishop e6, which makes tons of sense too. So I don't know what's the difference here in the move order between bishop e7 and bishop e6. Why do we pick one versus the other? Bishop e6 feels more active. And I think that b5 should be considered as well. Normally when you play b5, you're opening yourself up to a possible strike with a4. But I mean, this looks a little like a Sveshnikov. I mean, clearly g5 is possible too. But I don't think this knight really does a lot at d5. We can trade it off. You could trade it off immediately with knight to b6. So I don't think that white can really claim an advantage here. It looks kind of equal. Maybe he's not worse, though. And I guess that, of course, there is knight c5. Maybe that's more combative. I mean, higher risk, higher reward. I'm just pointing out that b5 is a possibility, and I'm surprised that no one tried it. h6, extremely passive move for black. Played, well, against Kuprejcik. I shot Anastasia and played h6. A kind of passive move, but okay. Bishop e7. And down, there's a game where white played g5. Berkic played this, wow. So Berkic is very strong. I was lucky to get a draw against him, but I was white. I was actually, not that it's relevant to this game, but I did play the guy once and I was much better. But I'm happy to take a draw in a team tournament. But bishop e7, g5 played by Berkic, knight d7. This is a very experienced, I think, Ukrainian player with black. Maybe he's not Ukrainian. I don't know why I thought Ukrainian. Could be Croatian. Queen g3, knight c5. I don't think that white won because of the opening. But anyway, I don't know which way to go here. Bishop e7. White plays bishop g2. Well, you'll see this is a very instructive game. Bishop e6. Now we have very typical Najdorf ideas with like rook c8. So white could have played f4. That looks pretty logical. The problem for white is like, where are you putting your king? Are you putting it over here? Then it's like, well, what does g4 do except weaken your king side? Where is white's king going, and where is white's king going to be safe ultimately? I don't think it's safe on the queen side, and I don't think it really mattered bishop e6 or bishop e7. Probably he's going to play both anyway. We see here someone played castles kingside, which is like kind of lame and safe. But Garabin plays this. That looks creepy. It looks very, very creepy because you're weakening the c3 square. You're weakening a3. Possibly weakening along the c-file in general. And the bishop on g2 sitting there like an idiot, you know, fianchetto into his own pawn. And you expect black here to be aggressive, be like rook c8. Geller just castles. He's like, whatever. Go ahead. He's almost like tempting white into castling queenside. He doesn't want to scare him out of it. That's what it feels like to me. Also, maybe the rook will play from here. Maybe this would be a mistake here for black. What do you guys think? Would it be a mistake to go here? Maybe we want our other rook on c8. Keep the other rook on a8. Like a dragon. An early rat variation. Well, that's what that's called? The like Magnus thing? Castles, b3, very risky move. Castles, bishop b2. And now no rook c8. The move I would normally play here. There's a huge problem for white too. And I know this from experience against like frickin' Hjardarson last year in the senior team championship. If you put your bishop on b2, you have problems controlling the dark squares on that diagonal. So guess what, boys and girls? If g5, there's like knight h5, knight f4. So enjoy that. Something very already artificial about white's position. But I mean, you know, if he wanted to play for f4, he would have done it before. He should have maybe considered it like right away. Like there's one game here, Zhang Pingqiang, 1998. I guess if you want to do it, you need to do it now. Although I don't know how great that is anyway, but I'm not overly excited about it. So castle's queenside. Now Geller's like, all right, your castle queenside. b5, b4. And this is a huge problem. Because if you go to a4, you get this type of thing. One question. There be g5. Thereby. Well, that's a weird line. I'm just wondering about this, but I guess it's kind of complicated. Apparently black's winning. Wow, bishop takes a4. We just win a piece. Oh, okay. Never mind. So, knight a4 is bad because of bishop d7. Knight b1 is obviously lame. Sorry guys, the mouse. What did I do? Snotbot. Alright. So knight e2, normal retreat. a5. And we're just quickly coming down there. This is like falling out of bed in the morning. This is like the best Kira's attack I ever had for black. Or maybe we would call it the most retarded Kira's attack white ever had. I think now he tries the only thing you can try. To be honest, this is the only try. You got to try for f4. And I expected black to play a4. But I guess that's a bit too slow. And pawn takes f4 isn't that great. White takes with the knight. And white does get blown away though. I'm not sure if he has a way to have prevented it. if white has a way to prevent it from happening, he has knight d7, threatening knight c5. And the bishop's not really trapped. It only looks trapped. On f5, we play knight c5, so this bishop can retreat if it wants to. So now white has to place the queen somewhere. And it can't be a dark square like d2 or e3, because he gets skewered by bishop g5. So he only has, you know, b5 or f3 or g3. Goes to f3. You know, keep in mind, like, g3 could also be hit by bishop h4. Also, he wants his knight to have a square at g3, probably. And this is where it gets really nasty, you know. So Garabin is expecting black to retreat the bishop back to d7, which is a reasonable move. But this is too fast now. This is a brilliant sacrifice. Just offering the bishop at e6. So let's see how exactly this works. You know, there's bishop takes e5 too. So if you take, I take back with the pawn. Now the queen has only one square to go to. Unless you want to give me a knight. And I remember this variation. Queen h2. And then something like I mean, obviously we can play pawn takes pawn. But I'm not sure about what exact move order we should play here. I mean, this rook f2 is possible too. And we have really nasty stuff like check. So all of black's pieces are like perfectly placed, but he's down a piece. But it's like it doesn't matter that much. Black's coordination is excellent. This is perfect. This is perfect. This is really good. This is really, really strong. Queen has a lot of mobility. White's pieces are in a little 2x7 rectangle. Well, I don't think anything can kill the attack, so to speak. You know, this is a very complicated move. Nothing's killing the attack. It's just complicated. We're still attacking, you know, it's like a counterattack. Black would still have very strong threats after this. But that's just one variation, you know. I don't think that there's any other option, though. I mean, we could actually... You could take here. I don't think this is good, though. I don't think this is good. I mean, takes f7, rook takes, queen g3. We can do similar stuff, though. It's totally possible. Evaluation here is winning for black as well. So here it's like 5.5. In this variation, 4.6. And, you know, it's funny, Arsenal mentioned knight f4. That's apparently white's best move. but he still lost. That would give you the e2 square. You know, now you could just be like, you know, equal material. Well, down a pawn. White would be what down a pawn? Yeah. But it's still apparently losing. I mean, white has a really bad piece. The bishop on g2. It's a catastrophe. So a4 is very strong, and I don't know what the best move is for white. He's like losing, so this is actually his best move. And obviously here it's even tempting to take on h4, but that would give white counterplay along the h file. Yeah, I mean the whole game is like white's down a piece because of the bishop on g2. The bishop on e7 is also bad, but it has that potential. h4 is good in the sense that he stops black from that bishop g5 thing. So h4 looks like it's like a pawn storm, but it's more about like stopping bishop g5 check. It's not so much like white's doing a pawn storm. He's tactically like preventing bishop g5, which gives black a lot of energy. And on this type of move, you know, there'll be the h file. But there's no need for that. We take on b3. Very strong. Terrific. Terrific. And then I imagine there's more than one way to play this position for black. I mean, white also has to consider taking the other way, but then you drop the base of your pawn chain, you're dead. So there's no question. He has to take with the a pawn. And then we get to see like the really scary part for white, this. I mean, this could even introduce some ideas of like sacking a rook. Obviously, rook takes bishop with mates on the dark squares on the a file, and even stuff like this. In some variations, is going to come up. But I mean, black has to be ready for bishop takes e5. But there's so many moves black could play here, like literally. I don't even know where to start. I mean, just for amusement, we could consider. I don't think bishop e5 is good. We have like queen c7, for example, threatening knight takes b3 check, followed by mate, and your bishop's hanging at the same time. There's all sorts of nasty stuff. So there's no time for bishop takes e5. He takes the bishop. That eliminates an attacking piece against b3. And I think it's his best try. Eliminating the pressure on b3 and a lot of sacrifices. And now there's no bishop g5. So f takes e6. And now queen e3. Because there's no bishop g5. And again, this is still in the position, like you pointed out earlier. Bishop takes e5. White's down. I mean, white's up a full piece, right? But this rook takes b2 thing is really close to working. I mean, black has to look at even this immediately, but it's not enough because we can't get to the a file fast enough. White will play like rook a1. We need to be doubled on the a file for the sack on b2 to be mate. So when I go here, I'm threatening rook takes b2. And that's like crushing and devastating. And unfortunately for white, that bishop doesn't have any squares. So he's in a really desperate spot. Yeah. He was in a really bad spot, and so he plays what looks like ostensibly maybe the only move, c4. Notice that the queen, the queen is protecting b3. No immediate knockout, but okay, we sacked the rook. Now we've sacked the whole rook. Rook takes, king takes, queen check, king b1. Now why king b1, not c2? Because if king c2, here, check, king c1, and this. So he has to go to b1. And I think white has this idea. Can never get mated with a knight on f8. So if I go here, this is what happens. Knight c1. But I have a question. Okay. What's wrong with this? Why is knight takes b3 not working? I mean, it looks strong. It's the knight c1. Knight c1, queen a1 check, king c2. Maybe it's this. No, you mentioned rook d3. Okay, is rook d3 anything? Rook d3, no, the problem is like check. Does it work? Maybe it works. Rook d3 here. Yeah, we have to go check and then you go to d1. I think you're right, you know. Queen b1 check. Knight c1. Oh no. This isn't going to work, is it? Because isn't this going to win? Well, let's see my other variation. Knight takes b3, knight c1. Check, king up. a2's guarded. Oh man, we have some really nasty stuff here. Knight takes c1. Rook takes c1. Knight takes c1. Queen takes c1. Oof. This is winning as well. Alright. So I think that both moves might be winning. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, it's true. Both moves are winning for black. Rook a8 and knight takes b3. This is also winning. Knight c1. But I have to admit that the way he played it is more elegant. Because he has this really cool move here. So it's a double rook sacrifice. He sacrificed a piece, then an exchange, and now another exchange. Really nice. And it's elegant. Here, here, here. And now white has to sack his queen. But the thing is, he had to be careful about this. Because white has enough material here. After this. So he had to evaluate this. This is winning. But white's king is totally open. And the bishop from hell is the reason he loses. It's queen for two rooks, but it's like the bishop from hell against the bishop that can actually get in the game. The little bishop that could. Rook d2, queen c3 check. Here, check. King b2, queen a3 check. King b1, b3. Now, he's still hanging on. Watch this. Here, here, and then here. So h4 is not hanging. And he has the idea of bishop h3. Bishop d8. This is brutal. The snake Benoni, right? Even d6 is protected. And unfortunately, if you try to lift your rook like Shirov, you get mated right away. So, rook c1, bishop b6, here. And it's a little late, buddy. He just plays king f7. Like, it matters. It could matter, because this bishop could actually come through here and defend and break through. White could have, like, c5, bishop takes c6, and take on b3. So king f7, h5, bishop d4. This is brutal. g6 check, spite check. He makes the 40th time control 40th move. And white resigns after black makes the 40th move. I guess it's a good time to resign. But a very elegant win by Geller. Yeah. But honestly, he was in another league from this older IM. But still, what an elegant game. All right, so we're onward and upward. Now to Krapnik. I really can't stand that Krapnik guy. Oh no, it's not the original Krapnik. Krapnik. Krapnik is back. Vladislav Nazdrashev, 1745. He's a little underrated. Thank you guys for your support. We had follows from a bunch of players. Mantra plays chess. The Sonics. Luigi. OG Prince. Asterbait gift sub. Mr. Slow gift sub. Riz Luls has followed. So this is one of our favorite players, Krapnik. Versus Danny Trash. Practicing always. I don't know. Alright, we're going to try to get... Maybe that's the last game for today, guys. I'm a little under the weather tonight. E4, E5, Knight F3, Knight C6, Bishop E5, A6. I guess this is a simul, right? Or was this in a tournament? I'd be a nice guy if I had millions of dollars from unsuspecting chess noobs, too. Alright. A6. Bishop A4. Look, if you want me to be a really nice guy, just send me a few mil, and I'll become a nice guy. What do you want from me? I like me better grumpy anyway. Grumpiness builds character. A6, Bishop A4, Knight F6. A typical contrarian would think that Danny Wrench is a nice guy. That's why we love you. Okay, so castles, B5. This is Krapnik. I don't know who this is. This is Krapnik. Bishop E3, Bishop E7. And now White plays the D4. Oh, man. Yeah, D4 is very rarely played line. But what's freaking me out here, guys? Something's not right. I mean, seriously, something's not right. Bro, how is it possible there's 1,361 games here in the Lichess Masters database? What are you talking about? Like, the freaking Spanish? I realize that, you know, you're not playing D6. It's no way there's like 10,000 games. There have to be like way more. If we went to ChessBase, someone's been secretly like removing all the Spanish games from the database or something. I mean, you gotta be kidding me, dude. Even like some obscure openings have like 1,000 games. That's not really a lot, you know? This is like a very standard position. There should be way more than like 2,000 games here. That just seems really weird, you know? I mean, this is absolutely standard move order. Well, the Berlin became more popular recently. Oh, okay, that's what it is. It's your move order. Yeah. Okay. No, my bad. So you play B5 early. Okay. You're right. You're right. It's the move order. It's you. It's not me. You're normally playing bishop e7 first. Then there's 47,000 games. Okay. So you play b5 first. This is like an Archangel's move order. That's why there's so few games. It'll transpose, we get back to rook e1. I get it. I didn't know you played this move order. I've played this a bunch of times in Blitz, but that's why there's so few games. And so now, normally black plays the Archangel's defense with either bishop e7 or bishop c5. The question is there a way to take advantage of your move order, and we're going to find out. So I played bishop c5 for the most part. It's a lot of theory in Archangel's. But this move order, okay. and interesting. So rook e1 is the most common move, which will transpose back, and now we'll see a lot. We should see a lot more games. 27,000, 20,000. There you go. Okay. So rook e1 is like, if he doesn't want to take advantage of anything special, he'll just transpose back. But can he do a different move? Okay, so d3 is lame. a4 is possible. And, you know, maybe queen e2, but that's... This is the one independent possibility, really. So knight d4, you don't have knight e8, you don't have knight e4. So you can't take on d4 because you get e5 and you have nowhere to put your knight. That's why this move order is considered inaccurate. But I know that like there are some good players who have played this move order. You can see Ivanchuk Nepomniachtchi, although he lost. Black has no choice. You have to play d6. So there goes the Marshall. If you wanted to play the Marshall, that's out the window. The only thing is, after d6 and c3, no, wait a minute now. If d6, c3, do you have bishop g4? D takes e is lame. That can't be anything. c3 is critical. And so that's the question. If you castle, he's got, you know, a choice whether he wants to transpose back to normal lines or not. I've definitely castled. I've definitely faced this with white and played, like, whatever, castles, h3. You might have even played this against me. But this move, usually I feel like it's often a mistake because we weaken the queen side. You know, positionally speaking. But that happens, right? I mean, this can come back. It can come back to d7. No, like if white chooses to play d5 or something, your bishop can always come back. What about h3? If he plays h3, you take? He doesn't play h3. But I'm just wondering about this. There's a real dichotomy here where black has chosen bishop h5 and bishop takes f3. Half the players played bishop h5 and half of them played bishop takes f3. So if I play bishop takes f3, queen f3, pawn takes d4, It's a pawn sack, but might be a good one. I've probably seen this somewhere. Bronstein or someone. Hort beat Eric LeBron, a young Eric LeBron in 1982. Hort's still alive, right? Queen G3. King F8 was played here. Jesus. So what do we do? Yeah, I mean, it is good compensation. Black has never won a single game here. White has 63% in this position. But if you don't take the pawn on d4, you just don't have a light square bishop. So it really doesn't seem like there's another option at that point. The other option of bishop h5, here's another game, Kavalek Hort. This is like the Hort variation. Bishop e3, that could transpose. Bishop e3 castles. Knight on bd2. It seems like here's a recent short game from 2017. E takes d, c takes d, knight a5, bishop c2, c5, rather typical kind of line. d5. Well, something like you might see Geller play. All right, so I don't know. h3 feels kind of like an acid test, but there's definitely nothing wrong with d5 or bishop e3. What am I getting? Another game? All right. Guys, this is the last game I'm accepting today. No more late entries. Add a new chapter. All right. Why is that chapter 9? Why is it chapter 9? Where the hell is chapter 8? There's no chapter 8, but there's a chapter. Oh no, that's so chapter 8 is chapter 7. They're fucking confusing me. Chapter 8 is chapter 7. The new chapter 7. All right. Of course. All right, Krapnik with d5. I think we're happy to see d5 because our bishop wasn't forced to make a decision. That's the thing that bothers me about your position. The bishop on g4. And that's why I like h3 best for white, Arsenal, because I feel like it puts you to the question. You got to make a choice. Are you going to go for the compensation? He has compensation for the pawn, or are you going to put your bishop on h5? I feel like that puts pressure on you. Here it's easy. You know what you're going to do. And you don't have to commit your bishop to h5. You can bring it back on this. You can bring it back on this diagonal. This could transpose to a normal line. Yeah. I don't know if it transposes or not, but you have to know this. You should know this, that you have the square c4, so b4 is not a problem. But you have to destroy his center. Bring the knight to a5. It's not like so simple. Black's supposed to play c6 in this type of structure, but I think it's important for Black to not get his bishop shut out on. It's important for Black to not get his bishop shut out on h5. So here's a bunch of games. Well, I played h3 in all of them, and they all play bishop h5. Why do I have to play bishop h5 though? Why do I have to put it on a short bus? There is a trap that happens sometimes. There was one game where this happened, like rook e1 castles. See, it's a transposition. There's this trap. See Becerra, Fedoseev. It's like take d6, and this is actually theory. But your position is different because you're not castled and he hasn't played rook e1. But I'm thinking like, okay, why can't black play in the same spirit here? It's even possible to play bishop c8. Because what are you going to do? This is okay. Maybe I even play queen c7. Maybe the problem for black is this type of thing, where the a file opens up. But I don't know. I'm not. Even this looks playable for you. Take with the queen. The queen defends the rook. Your knight can go back to c4. This is how it goes in the normal line. So I'm really surprised that everyone played bishop h5 here. Damn, that's weird. Look at the stats. Look at the analysis bot. The bot. Four out of 4 players played bishop h5 here. And it's clearly the third best move, according to Stockfish. Well, not clearly now. They're all exactly the same. Bishop d7 is the best move. So this is really, really shocking. Well, Arsenal didn't play c6, but I think this is the idea. You want to destroy his center. Chess, this is about destroying the guy's center. You're glad he played d5. You can blow up his whole center. It's going to be hard to play f5, so you should take advantage of your opportunity to break his center now with c6. So you castled, and now it's a little bit of a different story. Because now, when he plays h3, we don't want to give up our light square bishop for nothing. Especially. Only if we have to. We want to attack his center if possible. It's possible to play bishop h5 here, of course. But if you want to play like c6, then, this would probably be the better idea. Let's say. I don't know if white can try anything, trying to support. If he can try to maybe support that. So you said you play against his bishop long term. It's an interesting idea. So you're not interested in breaking the center. You're talking about playing against his bishop on c2. Now, one idea that, works is trying to trade off his other bishop with bishop g5. But I do have to caution you that if he takes away your ability to go to c4, we're talking about fianchetto knight land, on the queen side. This is like the bane of all black side of the Spanish players' existence. So you play knight d7. Now you have this still. If he plays like b3, you can play bishop g5. It looks reasonable. Your knight sucks, but, so does his bishop. So he plays knight d2, taking away knight c4, or discouraging it, and blocking this exchange. You play bishop g5, he plays a4. And now this is where it could get tricky, because you don't have a light square bishop. But you have an interesting possibility now to go with 2 knights against 2 bishops. I wonder if white has something better. We go back a couple moves. Bishop takes, queen takes, knight d7. Could he possibly prevent you from playing bishop g5? Because that'd be what I would want to do. Prevent anything good for the opponent. So I would argue, Okay, we'd like to play. I'd like to play G3 and H4, but I don't have time. You know, if I try to play G3, you smack me with that. I can't play H4. It's a pawn drop. I don't see how this could work. But you could play with the queen. You know, something weird like queen G4, for example. Exactly. Exactly. This is what I'm thinking. Stop bishop G5. Now you can still try. You can't try H6 actually. Okay, it's an interesting position. H6 idea, bishop G5 doesn't work because if bishop takes H6, you probably have to play like king H8 now. Well, F5's crazy. That's the Looney Tunes. Bugs Bunny variation. We'll send you to the crazy house. After that, might be a little optimistic. You know, you might want to remind yourself that you don't have light square bishop. Something could go wrong here. But anyway, I think that's a really cool try for him. The way he played it, though, gives you an interesting opportunity here. You could, at some point, actually try to play with 2 knights versus 2 bishops in a closed position with 16 pawns on the board. I think this is a reasonable thing to do. You know, but of course, it's not necessary for you to do it right away. But that's a possibility. So you played knight b6. It's the knight on a5 that's really fucking us up, you know, so I think you need to consider this. Takes, knight c4, bishop c1. Now at least at least you don't have a knight on a5. I mean, I guess white is just better, though. It's not like you're lost, but yeah, this isn't going to be great either. It's not, b6 is going to be bad as well. Yeah, I don't like this. It's not enough. So we go here. Supporting c4. Okay. b3. I'm expecting him to do this. Kill you. I kill you. This could get really interesting, though. Now you still have the c6 idea. Don't you have c6? Oh, you're kidding me. You're like a tactical machine. Takes here? Oh, no. Rook a8, knight takes d2. Oh, my God. Yeah, that's a nice one. Wow. You have that. Yeah. So he plays b4. Uh-oh. Yeah, you take and you can support it. Now you have a really good outpost. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like b4. It's possible even AB was a mistake. So he created these tactical possibilities for you. Why should he release the tension here? Are you threatening me? Are you threatening something? I don't know what he should do, but I just don't know if he's really gaining anything. I don't think this guy is like the most prophylactic player. What if he played this, for example? You know, like tickling your pawn on b5. No, I don't see the point of b4. Let's just put pressure on the white squares. I mean, you can do stuff like just there, for example. Oh, wow. c6 talking about tension. c6 now. But I'm afraid we're going to melt down like the Wicked Witch here. Takes. takes, takes. We're eventually going to lose something somewhere if we're not careful. So I was thinking just queen d7. What's the evaluation? Oh, he's winning. Shit. He's piling up. He's piling up on that b5 pawn. Damn, dude. Queen e2 is like the best move. Fuck, I'm a genius. Yeah, he's just not patient enough, you know? You got to be really patient, and he's got to take advantage of you on the white squares. This is just like releasing the tension, playing b4, a forcing move, but now your knights have a great outpost. And I was expecting him just to take back. Why doesn't he just take back? Why does he have to be fancy with like b takes a? If he takes back, you go here, you have a great outpost, but your knights are redundant, you know, so it's not so easy. I guess he doesn't have a good square for his bishop. You got your trick again? You got your trick on? Oh no. So what's up with that kind of ending? Like here takes, rook takes d8, knight takes f3, check, takes, rook takes d8, take the a file, and then you can't go rook a8 because you drop your pawn unless there's some kind of miracle. This looks kind of unpleasant, but it's a draw apparently. Wow. You have a trick, another trick, knight a4. Unbelievable. You're still in trouble here, though. Kamsky would get you. Wow, this is really close stuff. But anyway, you get my point. I think he's making a lot of mistakes by playing obvious moves too quickly. But this move surprises me. Now his pawn, he fucks his own pawn structure. Okay, your pawn structure isn't great, but at least they're one island, you know? Now his pawn is like isolated on a5. That looks weak. This pawn looks very weak to me. I was surprised he did this. But I thought you were just going to go here. Why don't you just play knight c4? Am I missing something? You think he has an answer, like bishop d3 there? Maybe. He has bishop d3. But I mean, okay, bishop takes c1. Rook f takes c1. It's probably a draw. This is likely to end up in a draw. Like, we get it really down to one, you know, symmetrical formation of pawns. I mean, neither side is that much better. But anyways, so he takes, you take. What if he takes here? He's dropping a rook. Okay, he has to take. So you get similar position, basically. And now, instead of playing bishop d3, he plays queen e2. So bishop d3, he has to watch for knight d2, then queen d1. So it is possible to play this, and then on this he has queen d1. But queen e2 is similar. Here. Here. He doesn't find rook bishop d3. I mean, looks like you have to take. He would take on b5. It's probably close. So he goes here. You take here, and you're okay. What about queen a7? I gotta say, I like the dark squares. I mean, now we're looking at serious things. You could be very seriously playing for a win now. I just didn't like you pinning yourself with knight b7. I guess it doesn't really matter that much. Though he can play queen e3, for example, preventing queen a7. You could even put your queen on a8. It's okay. So rook b4. This is to go rook a4, I presume. Yeah, that was a little awkward. Yeah, you want to keep the queens on here. You know, you should have kept the queens on. Rook takes queen a7. Now he can't prevent this maneuver. He could try queen e3 if he's really a coward. But actually, we could go here and still go knight b7. I think you are a little bit better. But you want to try to avoid trading queens because the queen and knight combo is better. Yeah, he loves this trade of queens. Now he's completely okay. It's like a draw, probably. Still, you prefer to be black. But he's okay. Computer would never lose. But he plays g3. g3 is a little optimistic. I mean, what's happening there on the a file, bud? Shouldn't he be bringing his king to the center like a d2? He plays g3 and you played king f8, but why? Shouldn't you grab the a file? You have a lot of time here. But I mean, you're threatening to penetrate. Okay, you got to get off the back rank anyway. But I still say grab the a file. Whatever. Okay. King f8, he can't stop you. Here, f6. Okay. King f2. Okay. Rook a8. King e3. Okay. And now you're penetrating with rook a2. Possibly rook a1. First, you want to be careful. This is objectively a draw. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not putting my pawns on white squares voluntarily. But I guess he figured it didn't matter. Like, you're not going to get over there and attack h5. But is that true? Can't you just play rook a1, rook h1? That's what you did. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, he shouldn't play h5, obviously. So he just has to, like, hang out with his king or something. You know, like king d2. King d2, rook a1, rook b1. It should be a draw. Obviously, you're a little bit better. This is a bad decision, though. But I mean, what about rook b1? Oh, now you have rook a2. It's pretty unpleasant for him. So he plays this. Rook a3. Here, knight a4. Now he's getting really desperate. And this is his idea, I guess. He was trying to go for that. Oof. He has time for rook g8. He doesn't do it. Bro, what's happening with rook g8? I don't understand. I mean, it's maybe you're not in danger, but what's up with this? You have to play allow him to take on g7. So that's annoying. Yeah, I guess truthfully it's a draw. But he goes check, which surprises us. And then I thought he's going to take your knight and just draw the rook in game. But he's kind of overextended even there. He goes check. What's this do? So it's like he's trying to win. Sort of irrationally. Here, he gets that pawn. Check. And now I don't know why. G8. I don't think so. Just go to f8. Maybe he has some crazy ways to try to win. I don't know. It doesn't look like it. I would think you just play king f8, but it probably doesn't matter. You went over there, and he can't get in here. Well, he could get in here. Yikes. So I don't think you should have done that. You could have played king f8, right? It's probably a draw. Better to play king f8. It's like both sides are trying to lose. Here, check. And you're not getting mated here? Oh, beautiful. You have the rook sack. Yeah, he missed this. He missed this. Rook takes g6 with a likely win. So now he has f5. I mean, maybe he thought he was winning. You can't be sacking a rook. So now you have this move, g5. I'm curious, is that your only move? Oh, you're actually lost here. Wow. So he actually got you in time pressure. Yeah, king f7. King f7 is a draw. Check. King f8. Computer still thinks you're better there, but I don't really see it. Like, how are you playing this for a win? He's going to d8 and giving him the g7 pawn. Oh shit, you have this combo. You could have gone to d8. You could have gone to d8, and okay, you guys are making mistakes and time pressure. You could have gone back the other way. He was trying too hard. You were a little bit trying too hard, but you were kind of just should have taken a draw there. You got lucky. You're probably losing here. Uh-huh. Wow. h5. What is this? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, Mr. Bishop. But wait. What happens now? He lost on time? White resigns. Wait. Oh shit. There's no move. Bishop takes too long? Oh no. There's no g7 check. There's no bishop e8. He probably hallucinated. That's so sick. Yeah, rook c3 was... I was expecting that to be a resource at some point. So... Alright. Onward and upward. Good game. Of course, you know, like my simuls, it turns into a shit show in time pressure. So this is Redusa here. Reduso. Yul Skinner. Schumacher. If Redusa's not here, I'll do Schumacher first. Oh, he's here. Both here. Okay. So... You're playing a Grunfeld. Oh my god, what are you doing? You can't play this. You can't be serious. This is the Marshall defense. This sucks. You can't play this move, man. This is just bad. This is really bad. It's really bad. This is not the Grunfeld. This is a bad opening. 52% winning percentage for white. You cannot play d5 here. This is garbage. Look who played it. Lubojevic. I'm surprised, like, Ramacharov doesn't have a game. You just can't do this, dude. But it's interesting because, white might be able to try h3 here as well. I maybe there's some minor inaccuracy with h3, like black has c5 or something. So anyway, e4 is best. It's just a bad line for black. The problem is the Grunfeld, it's critical that you trade a set of pieces. But I don't know why you would play this. You seem to know your openings with white very well. This is just horrible for black. You just played d5 too quickly, thinking you're playing the Grunfeld. But you're too advanced a player for that. The Grunfeld hinges on the fact that you have traded a set of pieces for black to be able to not be too congested. But here you have all the pieces on the board and white has this optimal center. It's very bad for black. But white needs to know what they're doing. So h3 is the main line. For a reason. Because this bishop now has no way to develop. It can't go to b7. You know, f5, g4, all the good squares are gone. The bishop will just sit on c8 and not be able to really enter the game. So this is an inaccuracy by white. Bishop e2 is weird. I mean, you have to know to play h3. It's probably still much better for white, but not as good. You know, you should consider playing bishop g4 here. And consider yourself lucky that you even got the ability to play this move. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what black should do. After h3, normally you go for like some f5 or something. I don't know, something crazy. I don't know. You know, I mean, I've never seen anyone do that. It looks too slow. I just wouldn't play it, period. You know, it's just not good for black. So anyway, bishop g7, castle. He's not preventing bishop g4. He still doesn't prevent it. I mean, you have to play bishop g4. There's a game here where someone played c5. Okay. So you have two moves now. This might be even better. But I would be interested if I could sacrifice an exchange here. So Matthias Roeder, I played him once here in a tournament in Budapest. This is a decent IM. What about taking? Zero, according to the engine. So c5 is good. Man, he gave you like golden opportunity. This is a fast game, right? 5 minutes. 10-minute game. 10-minute game. White's play is horrible, dude. He doesn't punish you. So bishop e3 doesn't actually prevent c5. He thinks he's preventing it and he's not. If you can't play c5, you should probably try knight c6. But also bishop g4. Anything to get your pieces out. Not this, though. This is the worst move. Now your bishop's blocked. Black is clearly worse. Like negative 1.5. This is terrible for black. Here. And now he should absolutely play h3. If you don't have c5 and you don't have e5 and you can't move your bishop, you're like strategically lost. I mean, Botvinnik had some game like this in 100 selected games, where his opponent played a very slow sort of position like c6 or something. But this is torture. This is slow torture. I mean, black will never be able to equalize. There's no way. If white is a competent player, you'll be tortured for like 50 moves here. Never going to be able to equalize your position. So, yeah, this is a typical idea like bishop e6. White can play b3 and take away the c4 square. That should be considered. Here, maybe you have a5, a4. You can try to get some sort of counterplay. Maybe white has other ways to do this. Knight e5, knight fd7, and then maybe f4. I imagine white's still better. It's a pretty large advantage. So let's see what he does. d5 may not be bad, but keep in mind that you will have a break. He plays queen c2 now. If you have a choice between c6 and e6, c6 is safer because you're not compromising your kingside structure. But it also might be less, you know, maybe imbalancing. But I would want to go with this one. He kind of has to take. You take with the bishop. You have pressure on e4. He can attack your queen, but it's not such a big deal now. I don't think this is that bad for black. At best, white has like a very small edge after something like knight e5, if that even works. Wow, you have a tactic. Yeah. Not surprised. So he has a strong move there, actually. I thought you were okay here, but it's not so clear. White has a4. c6 is the best move, though. So c6 takes. Rook fd1. I don't know. Queen e8, queen b8. White has a4, apparently. This is really squeezing black. But that's the problem. You have all pieces on the board and less space. That's why you have to trade pieces in the Grunfeld. Botvinnik would kill you. But e6 is even riskier because you're weakening squares around your king side. Yeah. So now there's like knight d4, knight g5, rook d1. Yeah, okay. So you get this bishop c4, but it's white's bad bishop anyway. What's up, Chess Zebra? Feeling stripey today? Yeah, a4 gains space and threatens to dislodge b6. Knight c4 is possible. Knight c4, knight e6, knight e3. Knight d8, knight c2. So, what about knight c4? He can't move his bishop. So he has to take. And now he has to... You have this ghost bishop. This might be better, though, than what you did. Because I don't think this is so bad for black, or for white, rather, to trade, you know, the bad bishop for the bishop on c4. I don't mind trading that. Why is white still slightly better? Because white has a better pawn. White has a very strong pawn on e4. So I think that white still has an edge. But maybe you can play c5 or something. It's still thinking about a4. So here, see? Knight c4 was better. But only very, very marginally. Very fractionally better. You must have looked at this. Okay, it's a reasonable move to trade pieces. Rook d1, queen e7. This is good. Pressure on e4. And that's a catastrophe for white. You know, clearly he doesn't want to put another pawn on white squares. So, in fact, the engine was like rook e1, wasn't it? It was putting these guys like that. This is better. Yeah, rook e1 would be a very solid move. He was nervous about his knight on d4. But still, this is logical. Also, this rook, maybe. And that way, if you move the queen, then he can put this rook on e1. Now, it's very solid for white. But yeah, f3 is not good. Not really. This combo, you know. So now you found the tactic. Not surprising. Very strong tactic. Knight f4. I'm looking toward the king side here. You kind of cashed in with knight takes c3. I was thinking you have something maybe against his king side. It's a King's Indian type of motif. You have bishop e5, your queen g5. You have knight f4. So my preference here would be to go here. Okay, it's a very complicated situation. Calculate, like, maybe your knight will be vulnerable. But you're threatening stuff like this. Possibly he can get out of it by trading pieces, you know. Take, take. But still, it's very complex. Like this variation, for example, you end up like winning a pawn with knight takes d5. So let's see. It's your move is better apparently. There's some kind of problem with knight to f4. But I don't see it. Takes, takes. So not knight d5. Knight d5 is bad. Knight d e2. Trading off the knight on f4. White is still slightly better. So apparently your move is good. It's certainly not bad. And then b takes. He can't take with the queen. So now you just have a better structure. And that's excellent. Excellent structural advantage for black. Not so easy to win, but we're better. I mean, we'd like to break his center with f5, but it's too risky with the b7 and all that. If your king was on h8, you could probably play f5 here. Yeah, exactly. Bishop e2. I mean, he can always take with a knight or something. So you did this. This is kind of a strange move for me. You're training your guns on that pawn. Uh-huh. Now there's a fork on a3. So, very impulsive decision by white now. You played c5. First off, he could play rook takes b6. And if pawn takes b6, bishop takes c4. And if pawn takes d4, pawn takes d4, this is quite interesting. Might be a reasonable exchange sacrifice for white. Ooh, white's winning. Oh my god. White's actually winning there. Crazy. So he had this. You can take with the queen. And this way's better. Bishop takes, c takes d4, c takes d4. And white has compensation for the exchange. Big pawn for the exchange. But what he does is nuts. You know, this is crazy. So you played c5 and he like freaked out. Even if he moved his knight, like how bad is this? I don't understand. What's the problem with white's position here? He's got the d6 square. e2's protected. This even protects c3. What are you going to do? Take? That's fine. I have tons of counterplay now. At worst case scenario, this is a draw for white. White's still got two bishops. He's fine. This guy just totally freaks out. He takes like he didn't see knight a3. That's the impression you get. That he missed knight there. But then you're like, well, wait a minute. Why didn't he play this then? There must be a problem. He saw knight b5, but then he rejected a6. This is covered. You're going to defend your knight. And knight c7, you have knight a3. And knight d5 doesn't work. So I guess he missed knight a3, and he's just busted. You know, he's losing an exchange. So apparently there's a save for white here. Look at this. The line we said, here, 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 here. And unbelievably, white isn't lost here. Wow. He can give up an exchange. Oh my god. He's not, because he's also attacking your rook. Oh my god. So takes, knight b5. And then on a6, he has a hit on your rook. And he's still okay. Knight a3, queen b2. Knight takes b1. You can't play knight a8. Oh, this is weird. So it's an exchange sack after all. Queen takes b1, rook c8, knight d5 with a big knight on d5. He gets b7. So it's an exchange sack. He gets a pawn and a strong knight on d5. Yeah, but I mean, what he did is nuts. He just folded. Rook takes b7, giving up a whole piece. This is really insane. He's got nothing. I don't get it. He just sacked a piece for 2 pawns. A whole knight for these 2 pawns. I mean, the knight worth a rook at least. Well, as long as it stays on the board, I'm taking black here. There's not enough. That was really irrational what the guy did. Way too much material. Why not d5 now? At least try d5. He pinned you. Okay. Now he plays d5. He needs a 3rd pawn. He's gonna get it. He gets the 3rd pawn. Oh man, so if knight d4... your knight is sort of stuck. You know, he might have enough compensation here. It looks like it should probably be a draw. There had to be a more accurate way to play that. This should probably be a draw now. Not enough pawns left. He has 3 pawns. It's enough. What black does now, you know, understandable. Try to avoid exchanging pawns. I'm not sure white should play g4 here. He's like assuming you're going to trade pawns. The better move for white is objectively like g3. He has to be careful to not let that happen where you like are able to avoid exchanging pawns. g4, he's just playing kind of hope chess. Like, oh yeah, black's just going to trade all the pawns and it's a draw. Now it's more complicated. Okay, this is a good try. This pawn falls. Check, king e2. Still, it's probably a draw. I mean, these pawns are really dangerous. But it is kind of blockaded. So anyway, it's probably low on time now. White is a minute 46. Yeah. Yeah, you're not better here. He probably gets too ambitious. Excuse me? He just hung his e4 pawn. Obviously, you have to play king d4. Oh, his h-pawn's attacked too. My bad. Alright, so at this point... Yeah, I mean, at this point, white got reckless. He got reckless. I mean, he has to be careful. King e2 looks fine. It should be a draw. The computer actually likes white, but it feels like it should be a draw. So he got reckless. You actually pick off his h-pawn. You can sack the bishop for the a-pawn. I don't know what's going on here. White also has these pawns, but he has to be able to sack to stop your pawn. What the hell is going on? I don't know. You're winning, apparently. The computer wants to sack here immediately. Right? Yeah, you're winning. You can't stop the h-pawn. 1 pawn is all you need. Yeah, no chance. Okay, well, no time for the endgame. No, he should have just played king e2 to be on the safe side. That was an interesting game, though. All right. Mule Skinner Schumacher is here. So let's take a look. Schumacher versus Snotbot. E6. I've used this move order against Schumacher a lot, but I tried to play the English defense sometimes. Black plays d5. Okay, so it's a Queen's Gambit. Schumacher, you seem quite good at the white side of the Queen's Gambit. Some of your best games that we've seen on the stream in submissions from game analysis streams have typically been like exchange variations or some kind of Queen's Gambit declined. Seems like one of the openings you know pretty well. Of course, you played it with black too. So he plays Bishop G5. This is main, old school line. I mean, you played it. E3. Yeah, and now after knight of BD7, you go into an exchange variation. Yeah, I don't have any problem with it. I don't think that it's easy for white to get an advantage no matter what, but nothing wrong with c takes d5 here. One thing is that black can play knight takes and kind of play for a draw there. That is one possibility that wouldn't be an issue if he was playing a normal exchange variation move order. So if you want to play the exchange variation, normally we play it right away. There again, black can play knight takes d5, play like a semi-Tarrasch. If you play it here, it's considered to be, I don't know, slightly inaccurate. So, anyways, c takes d5, e takes d5, main line, bishop d3, and now they do they all do this h6 thing. I don't get it, man. I told you guys like 5 years ago about the guy who like ruined our team championship team by losing a bunch of games with h6 in this exchange variation. I don't really understand why black is playing h6. It's like they just do it because they can. Don't see anything wrong with like the normal lines for black with like rook e8 or c6. So this h6, and then normally bishop h4. You could theoretically play bishop f4 because you see the problem with h6 is that it weakens black's kingside, and so later if he needs to play like f6 or something, he doesn't have that flexibility. Why would you want to do that? Some of the best variations are like rook e8, knight f8, g6, knight e6, knight g7, knight f5, bishop f5. I don't see any reason to play h6. You have a small island here, and the more standard lines seem fine. I don't understand why this is good, this h6. So there's no one plays it in this position. There's no strong players in the list here. Lexi Ortega is the best player with black who's played this move. He played in the Italian veterans team at the World Team Championship last year. Why am I getting challenged by some guy in bullet chess, dude? What are you talking about? Bishop h4, c6. Alright, dude. Why are you doing that? Wow, that's annoying. Okay. I'll have to turn off my challenges. That's really annoying. So c6, castles, and now knight e4 is apparently a move. Which makes me wonder if you're not making some kind of inaccuracy here by castling. g4 works here. It always works, Arsenal fan. Come on. So your move is inaccurate. If you play queen c2, you prevent knight e4 now. But another question, what about black? Once in a while I see people go like c5. But rook e8 is the other possibility. But I think we're going to learn a lesson here. So c6, queen c2 is better. First of all, because even if you don't intend to castle queenside, it's better that the opponent doesn't know that, right? The less information your opponent has, the better. So, but even if you intend to 100% of the time castle kingside here, you're better off keeping them in the dark about your intentions. So they're thinking about stuff that's not going to happen. You know, they're going to spend their time analyzing variations with castles queenside, even if you're not going to castle queenside. So you're making them waste time on stuff that's not going to happen. This is important. Queen c2 stops knight e4. Or at least it might. Because of bishop e4, pawn e4, queen e4. Black needs to play rook e8 now. But in castles, he could have done this right away. And apparently that's pretty solid. I would think bishop takes, queen takes. I had games like this with white. And then we go with minority attack here. Maybe rook a, b1. This is standard. b5, etc. Yeah, I'm saying I'm not going to castle queenside, but black doesn't know that. So rook e8, rook e1. This is a very strange move. You're playing like Kanivar! I was at the poker club last Saturday night, and Kanivar was there. And then this Vietnamese player, who's like a high stakes player, came to my table, and I said something, and they were talking about Carnival. And this guy, Avart Khan, was on his table the whole night, and I was joking because when the Vietnamese guy would say Carnival, it sounded like Khan Avarth. In Hungarian, you say the first name last and the last name first. So he's Avart Khan, Khan Avarth. So they thought I was saying Carnival, but I was saying this guy's name. He was there. He's kind of a weird, nice guy, but he kind of a little weird. All right, rook e1. What are you doing? You know, rook e1 is not a move. Rook e1 is Kanivar playing an IM tournament to collect $100. Actually, King's Indian Defense, it's very common to castle queenside in exchange variation. Not this specific line so much. More common with the knight on e2. So now black plays, in this game, there was knight f8. I don't know if I'm a big fan of knight f8. See, we might get to see why I don't like h6. But rook e1, you know, you want to play a Pillsbury attack anyway. So what you want is like queen c2, knight f8, knight e5, right? Knight g4, bishop takes e7, queen e7. I had a game like this with Ildar. I drew with Ildar Abragamov with black. Actually, that was probably like my last Queen's Gambit declined. I don't know when that was. Once in a very rare moon, I'll play the Queen's Gambit declined with black. We had this game with Ildar. I didn't play h6 though. I remember he did like f4, f5. It was 25 years ago. It seems like yesterday. Anyway, rook e1 I don't like. You know, you're supposed to play a minority attack. But queen c2 first. So I don't know why. Schumacher, normally you're playing queen c2. I don't know why suddenly you're not playing queen c2. What's this about? What is this? And Kanivar is supposed to play knight f8, walking into this sort of knight e5 thing. How does he get the knight off of e5 in this position? That's my problem with h6. With your queen on d1, now black doesn't have knight g4. It becomes problematic to get the knight off of e5. What is he going to do? Yeah, that's pretty gross. Bishop e6. Okay, admittedly, like, white's rook is stupid on e1. Because he doesn't have f4 anymore. Without, I mean, it doesn't have the support of the rook behind it. So rook e1 isn't a great move, but neither is knight f8. Anyway, black plays bishop d6. There was this guy in Harvard Square 35 years ago, Vlad. Vlad used to do this. So you can play bishop g3. This is an exchange variation of the Caro-Kann now. But I think we should hold off. Do queen c2 first. Oh, look at the score. Maybe I'm onto something here. Queen c2. Why did you have a problem with queen c2? You love queen c2. I think he passed out. White won every game. What's wrong with Schumacher that he can't play queen c2? I guess he figured, like, he doesn't want to play queen c2 since black's already played h6. He's not threatening anything. Queen c7. Queen c7 is never fine for black. You better put your queen on b8 next. After this, I'm threatening knight b5. Man, this guy walks into b5. Are you kidding me? Wait. g5, knight b5. g5, knight b5? That doesn't work. Still, it's good for white. This is very bad for black. This is not correct. So this is a lame move. Preventing queen c7, which we like him to play anyway. And now a6, preventing knight b5. And white has nothing, really. Except for the fact that black has no place to put his queen. What should black do? Well, Arsenal fan's suggestion isn't that stupid. Of queen c7. Say a6, a3, queen c7. Gotta watch your tactics, like b4, b5, queen b8 you can do. That might be the best you can do. Try to put the queen on b8, you know, at least temporarily. But white can always just trade this bishop off. I have a good... This is literally a Queen's Gambit, a Caro-Kann exchange variation. Bishop g3 is fine for white. Especially with the queen out there. You know, the queen is on over there. It should be over here on e7 and like on the king side. It's over on the queen side. It's not going to hurt me, you know. Black's supposed to attack on the king side in exchange variation. Down the e file, down the f file, f5. He's supposed to attack his pointing. He's pointing toward the king side. Now his queen is over there on c7. So it's a dumb end of the battery. You never want to put your queen there necessarily, especially when I have half a file here. But yeah, I agree. There's nothing better. Like g5. I mean, maybe black has to do this, but it's really risky. You know. I like king b8, queen b8 better than doing g5 for black. The other thing you could do is try to crawl over to f8. I mean, that makes e4 look strong, though. I don't know. So anyway, Schumacher breaks. Schumacher breaks with e4. White's a little better developed, but I mean, is black really that screwed here? Bishop e7, anyone? I think I'm going to vote for bishop e7. Yeah, white's better. You've got a nice active IQP. But on the other hand, I mean, black is pretty solid. Looks like there's only one really good move, queen e2. Not easy to find that, by the way. But anyway, this is crazy. Bishop e8. What you really need is the rook lift somehow. Get your queen side. Sorry, get your queen's rook. God damn it! Hello, my internet. Get your queen's rook lifted over. Knight f7. Oh, he played knight e5 though. How is he making this work? Take. Does this even really work? I mean, black takes with the bishop, but why would you take with the bishop? First you take with a knight. Take with a knight. Oh, then you take f6. You take f6, takes. It doesn't look good for black, but I don't see a mate either. Do you have a shot, rook e5? Oh my god. You have the shot, rook e5. Ooh, bro. That's a nice one. That happens in the game. Rook e5 with the beautiful rook takes, bishop h7 check is going to happen. But he could play rook takes. That also loses a queen immediately. Bishop b8 wasn't a good idea. You know, this wasn't a good idea. He's got no rook. Astrobait knows not to do that. No rook. So now black is in a lot of trouble. I think it's time to give up. It looks like it's time to give up now. Yeah. So he plays what? Yeah. Should be 5, rook e5. That's my analysis line. Sorry. So he plays bishop takes. Takes. Takes, 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 and then, yeah, the same position. Rook takes e5. Schumacher's not missing it. And he takes, he wins the queen. All right. That was a good one. Next, we've got Nefedov. Neil Skinner's usually, like, not here. So I'm going to go with Nefedov against Kamsky. Damn it. Damn it, man. F. F you. Damn it, man. Why do I have 10 viewers? Seriously? How do I have 10 viewers? What's wrong with people? You're a super delegate. I mean, my analysis stream always gets the least, but it's 10 viewers. There's like some guy grinding to 1,000 who had like 60 viewers. I swear to God. What's wrong with people? They want to get worse at chess? Unbelievable. Alright, we're up to 17 viewers now. I don't know how many viewers. Don't trust Twitch. We actually have 17 viewers. Wow, a world record. Guys, don't forget to donate. Mr. Solarity with the donation. Astrobait with gift subs. Live. We're live. 1799.1 FM. We get to see Kamsky play white against Nefedov. And guess what? My favorite opening. Mr. Coffee sent some bots this way. Knight f6. Bishop f4. They took away all the bots. I used to have like 5 bots. Not my bots, like personally. Just I accumulated them over time. You know, random accounts that would watch. Yeah, get your cats to create accounts. Your grandchildren. I don't really care, you know, honestly. If people are stupid and they don't want to get better at chess, then don't watch me. It's no problem. Watch Gotham Chess, where you'll learn nothing. Okay, bishop f4, g6, and now Kamsky playing white against our hero, Nefedov. c3. It's the most insipid of moves. God has been playing like closed queen pawn games since he was like 10 years old. He's like one of the world's leading experts. But of course e3 is much more dynamic. Or also, I don't know if Gada plays it, but obviously the London Jababa is better. Adoption. You can adopt Mr. Coffee. One of my students got a new cat. I'll bring my guinea pigs on the stream. Okay, c3, very passive but solid. White is black and black is white. Now maybe Nefedov wants to wait with bishop g7. You know, I would think there'd be a. You like the Slav, Nefedov. Why don't you play c6? What's the big rush in playing bishop g7? I once had this game with Joel Benjamin that was like this. where I was white, I admit to playing the London system on like 3 occasions. Once I played against Joel, I think I've told the story like a million times, but it was, the opening must have been D4, D5, C3. No. No. It was D4, D5, Bishop F4, and Benjamin played C6, and I played C3, and he said he felt physically ill when I did that. That's exactly how I feel when people play the London system against me, especially with this lame like C3. Now I know what Joel was talking about. I wasn't playing boring chess, but at that time it was actually kind of an interesting game. I was inspired by Rubinstein, not by some, you know, today people playing the London system trend. But anyway, C3 is unusual this early. So you could play C6. He likes the Slav. Bishop G7, E3. Castles into the massive attack. And now, well, black has a lot of choices here. B6, knight D7, C5. Well, it's white's turn. Okay. Lamest move, right? B6, knight BD7, C5. Nefedov plays knight H5. This is almost a TN. Now, let me ask a question. If you're black, it's move 6. There's 90 games in the master database, and only one of them played knight H5. Are you in a good place? And the answer is probably not. If knight H5 were a good move, you can rest assured more people would have played it. This move, I imagine, has a myriad of problems. See, I think Nefedov's problem is that he's used to playing the Slav, but this isn't exactly a Slav. First of all, you haven't played C6. You don't have this much stability in the center. But here, I mean, wait, there's so many options. He can go to G3. He can leave the bishop there. He can play bishop E5. He can play, every option is on the table here, literally. So we'll see what Kamsky does. He's like an expert. So he provokes Nefedov with bishop E5. In the one game, some 2200 played bishop G5. I'm going to trust Kamsky. He plays bishop E5. So you're leaving the knight out on H5. This is a simul game, by the way. And exchanging this bishop is kind of favorable for white. So Nefedov plays F6. G4 is not a threat yet. Gotta plays bishop G3. Nefedov takes. And now H takes. And we see the typical possible danger here. But black, unperturbed, doesn't care about anything like fear, so he goes ahead and just plays E5. Just, you know, former 2700, no big deal. But you gotta do something, and I honestly don't have a better suggestion. If I were black, I mean, I would be probably playing C6. I'm surprised Nefedov doesn't, because he likes the Slav. If he doesn't play E5, though, it's a good chance Kamsky will play E4, I would say. Maybe he'll prepare it first. So Nefedov doesn't bother with any C6. He plays E5 right away, and Gata plays Queen B3. If black, you know, plays E4, he drops a pawn to knight takes E4. This is pressuring B7, so now C6. Okay. So it's not that easy for white. It's like basically the London system here. The London system becomes the Caro-Kann. Basically, Kamsky is playing the Caro-Kann with the white pieces. And, well, there's some question as to whether, you know, he has any real attack, or if Nefedov can play Queen B6, both sides are going to have an orgasm. Kamsky loves dry positions. Nefedov loves trading queens. Everybody's going to be happy after queen b6. So got here castle queenside, but personally I would say, like I said before, it's usually best to keep your options open. So bishop e2. Why not keep flexible? I mean, they're both going to be losing it if they get queen b6 on the board. You know these guys. Nefedov loves offering draws, and Kamsky is like Mr. Queen b6. So this is a tremendous matchup. Now, castles, queen b6, and both sides are like, draw? Okay. Nefedov's a subscriber. Kamsky's not as motivated as he once was. But no, seriously, Gata has the possibility maybe of playing stuff like queen a3. But on the other hand, if you do this, like Capablanca or whatever, black can play rook e8, and then you're going to get bishop f8, and you're going to end up being part of the buffet. So I think that both sides are okay with the queen exchange here. But now Gata really goes for it. He plays c4. Interesting. I think he needs to get some white square going on, and so c4 makes sense. But wonder about the way of doing this now. Why c4 versus, say, e4 for white? Like, you want to break on the white squares, and I'm not questioning Gata's judgment, but it is just a random simul game. Intuitively, you could say, well, this is, okay, I'm attacking with the flank pawn, but, he is castled queenside. This seems kind of safer in a way. I was also going to ask, what happens if Kamsky trades pawns first? There's a problem with the f2. You can't play e4. f2 becomes very weak. So maybe that's the problem with e4 in general, the kind of weakening of that. If pawn takes pawn, you take with knight. It still looks pretty decent, actually. So let's see what the computer says. I'm curious. It's real close. The engine actually thinks Nefedov is slightly better. Oh, queen c2, that's disgusting. c4 and c4 are equal. e4 is just around the same. So he plays c4. And now Nefedov plays e4, which I did not expect. Wow. In a way, this moves, it's a little counterintuitive because you have the bishop pair. But this is Nefedov's only chance to play this move. It wasn't possible till now because the pawn got in the way of the pin. Actually, it wouldn't matter, would it? Well, it's not possible right away because of knight takes c4. It's possible after queen b6. And now after e4, after c4, e4. Okay. And now Gata gets really fancy with knight g1. But what are his options? Here, I was expecting knight e1. It's not great. Knight h2 is bad. Okay, so g1, heading for e2, heading for c3 or f4, looks good. Queen takes b3. And now I don't know. If you take with the a pawn, normally I would want to take with the pawn to open up the a file. We have to calculate this, but then pawn takes pawn. And I would expect some kind of situation with like 2 bishops versus 2 knights. That might be kind of interesting. I don't want to let Kamsky's or Nefedov's knight get to a6, b4. The knight gets in there, you've got a problem. And Nefedov's always like waiting like a, he's waiting like a tiger with that knight. He never likes to develop his knight too early. He's done this to me on a number of occasions where he waits until it can go to c6. So queen takes, knight takes, not creating weaknesses. It's very interesting the way that Kamsky plays. Zero weakness is bishop e6. And this is a surprising move. Because Nefedov invites knight c5, which looks like a good move. But it's Nefedov's tricky way of offering a draw. Knight c5, bishop c8, if knight b3, bishop b6, draw. Okay, now got to exchange his pawns. But I've been here, there a million times. That's the problem. If you exchange pawns, you give Nefedov the c6 square for his knight. So my suggestion would be play bishop b5 on the next move. So let's see. Can we go here? What do you guys think? Bishop e5. Obviously. If black tries to play something like bishop g4, we have f3. Cracking the pawn center. So, you know, it's not so easy. I mean, what's Nefedov going to do? Maybe he has something cool like rook f7 here. Did Nefedov see how strong he is? He even beats Kamsky. Or draw. My bad. Draw. He should have beat him, but it was a draw. Okay. cd5, 92. And now black can kick out the knight with b6. But, you know, okay. And now white goes to a4, because he doesn't want his knight on a crappy square. That's absolutely correct. But now you can have two knights on c3, and so you got to put the other one on f4. Nefedov gets ideal knight placement, which he's always banking on. Now knight a c3, and now knight e7. Oh no. But that gives us time for knight f4. What Nefedov really wants is bishop e6, bishop f7. Didn't have time. Had to go here first. Now this is a bad choice. You don't want to go bishop e7. So it looks like, okay, for just a moment, Kamsky almost has something. He did the move I suggested earlier with bishop b5. Here. a6, bishop a4. And now Nefedov with the desperate bishop g4. There's no f3 now. Unless you have some kind of crazy combo. So I'm expecting... I was expecting Kamsky to play rook d2 here. Maybe rook f1 or maybe rook d2. But the move that I would expect the least is rook e1. I don't know what this does. Wonder why he wants his rook on e1. Now, very natural move, rook c8, king d2. That's quality play by a strong, experienced positional player. The king is centralized for the endgame. Now Nefedov with g5. And now white has to consider the possibility of knight h5. When black would have options, including bishop h8. Kamsky goes to e2 back. He's a little passive. And now knight c6. So we're looking for tactics like knight takes c5. It's not enough. Not enough. And now Nefedov comes up with a doozy. It looks like Kamsky's got him because knight e7, knight takes e4. Bishop e6, knight takes e4. And so Kamsky must be like, yeah, I got him. But somehow Nefedov has knight a5. Now, obviously, knight takes d5 doesn't work because of knight takes b3. But what about bishop takes d5? Check. Nefedov has this brutal tactic now. If bishop takes d5, rook takes d5, knight takes d5, and knight c4 check. Ugh. What a disaster. If you try to cross the c-file, all sorts of hell breaks loose. But let's check it out. This is definitely not going to appeal to Kamsky, but looks like probably king e1, king c1, knight takes e3 check, knight dc3, knight takes g2. Yeah, that's terrible for white. So he got him with a little tactical trick. White plays knight a4, and he's like, suddenly Kamsky is like, oh, what did I do? I messed up my position. Knight takes b3 check, pawn takes, and now bishop f8, threatening bishop b4. Nefedov is a genius. Now if knight takes b6, there's all sorts of problems. Wow, this happened. Knight takes b6 happened. Looks like Nefedov's like better now. That even looks kind of dangerous for black. I would think like white would stay clear of taking that pawn. Whoa. This looks super dangerous for Kamsky. Knight takes b6, but we have to make a choice which way to go. Bishop e4 check, knight c3. And so if bishop takes e2, knight takes c8. So you kind of have to go here. Now we get the pawn, but Gata still has a kind of blockade. He stays solid. Quality play. King c2, not easy to beat Kamsky. Bishop d7, and now rook a1. Everything's protected. White can always play maybe like rook a2 and try to play knight c5. He does that. Exactly what happened. And now a6 is hanging. d5 could be hanging later. This is hanging. So actually, you know, Nefedov has to be a little careful here. He's made a lot of pawn moves. And Kamsky's Ponsky. I wanted to call him Ponsky. Thanks for the info. Yeah, it does that for some reason. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. White's got a lot of targets. Nefedov is not winning. This is weak. This is weak. White's king is centralized. Check. Knight c3. And now bishop d3 check. So the bishop became very strong. I don't know if White had anything else, but he let the position get out of control. You know what's interesting about this game? When you look at it, no, I didn't go over our game, Mule Skinner. I mean your game. Yeah. I said, hey, look, Nefedov, Kamsky's a genius. He's a very brilliant player, centralizing his king. But this actually burned him, you know, in the end. Nefedov had the bishops getting crazy with, like, bishop b4. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, at the end of the day, maybe Gata was wrong. We can't trust, you know, everybody to know automatically what to do. But ultimately, maybe he should have played king b1. Imagine how the game would have been different if he had played king b1 instead of centralizing with king d2. Now the white king is much safer than was the case in the game on d2. So ultimately, I think that I made the same assumption that Kansky did. Oh well, this is a great idea to centralize the king. Actually, the way it wasn't a great idea to centralize the king, and in particular, that bishop coming in on the dark squares is not a surprise. All right, moving on. Mitsopoulos has followed. So, we've got Mule Skinner next. 16-year-old rapid girls champion. Is that what you said? Under 16. Sorry. Mule Skinner said another disappointment. He drew with the Spanish under 16 rapid girls champion. Under 12 Hungarian blitz champion myself. Oh no, yeah. 21-29. You know what's interesting? This is a classical game though, not rapid. Granada Open. So these are classical ratings. No rapid. You mentioned this player is like some rapid champion or whatever for their age. But, you know, everybody has lower rapid ratings. They don't have as many games in most cases. I'm an exception. But, whatever, you know. 21-29 is a decent FIDE rating. There was this girl playing here in Budapest now who made 2 IM norms in a row from Belarusia. I guess they're not welcome in too many places. Hungary is one of the few countries that'll accept like Belarusians. But I don't know. Because of the situation. But she made 2 IM norms in a row. 2100 something. I guess, you know, Belarusia's like, they don't get out very often or something. But I mean, geez, dude. You know, normally 2100s don't go around making like IM norms in tournaments. They'd be like one of the lowest rated players in an IM norm type of tournament. So very rarely are they winning those tournaments. So 21-29 can be anything. You know, they could be 2000, they could be like 2400. Yeah, so we're going to take a look. Mule Skinner's white. But Mule Skinner is very predictable, which is a problem. Pawnfire has subscribed on YouTube. Thanks for subscribing on YouTube. Mule Skinner, you're going to have to be careful with this repertoire because people start to know what you play. And the Grand Prix is pretty easy to prepare for. I think you should really play at least, I know maybe you still do, but you need to play at least like 2 different systems, if not more. Because they're going to be prepared. This is really good move. I'm a convert. I have to say, like, I honestly started to like e6 better. You played a GM in the first round. Wow. I like e6. I'm starting to like it better against the Grand Prix. Okay, it's not Grand Prix yet. But I don't think you should play f4 after this move, you know? I don't think that f4 is very good against e6. So my opinion would be to switch to the Morales, like, move order. You play some kind of chameleon move order with knight e2, knight f3. You're willing to mix in kind of different kinds of hybrid stuff. And I mean, obviously, like, g3 is a really important move to mix in as well. But I personally do not recommend doing f4 here. I just don't believe in this. Having said that, after d5, what do you guys think about what we talked about, recently? There is this thing where there's a trend to play, like, f4 because they're meeting the tile gambit with d3. This is better than this is better than the crappy Grand Prix attack lines. These endgames are absolutely fine, you know. White is a tiny bit better or at least equal. But anyway, we can do the same thing here, is what I'm saying. So, okay, e6. All right, your move order is e6, f4, okay, d5, best move. Now d3, exactly. But I had a game with, and the Caro too, but they're doing like f4 and e5. Yeah, you can do d3 there too. So, I'm saying, okay, I had a game with Dr. Tripchance yesterday. We played bishop b5 check, but this is kind of crappy. You know, I don't like this at all for white. You're trading off my bad bishop. So, you played GM twice in classical. First time was disaster. The second time you got it. Okay. So d3. And if pawn takes pawn, take with the pawn. And on queen takes, I don't know. It looks like you could take with the king or the knight. Honestly, I think there's a better way to play the Grand Prix attack. Because I have zero faith in this. This is nothing for white, you know. If they know what they're doing, they take here. This is our best line for black. It's like a Budapest Gambit structure. I like this for black. Okay, I guess if you know what you're doing, you're equal, but I don't like the structure for white. So she doesn't know to play d6c4, so she plays d4. Now it's like a dunce opening. I get this in the French, actually. I would think against a young player this would be a pretty good type of position to play. You've got a sort of Nimzovician setup. So normally knight e2 now. But you probably know what you're doing. The structure has changed. So now black has the dark square pawns. Now this bishop exchange is not so clear. You know, whereas before it was definitely good for black. Here it's not as simple. This move makes sense. Check. She could play knight d7. You know, that's unclear. Yeah, this is kind of unclear. But bishop d7, normal move, takes. Now, which way does black take back? With the queen or with the knight? Usually with the queen. Now you played knight b1. But I have some questions about knight b1. I'm as into knight b1 as the next guy, but I think in this exact position, knight e2 seems more like dunce opening, like Gawain here lost against Kurnasov. Okay, so we don't have knight e5 because this is hanging with tempo. So if you want to play knight e5, you have to play it right away. And what happens then? Queen c8. Georgi Timoshenko. And then someone else played knight b1. Knight b1 is weird here. Why would you do that? The knight is more natural on the king's side. I like this. This is okay. You know, I think this is okay for white. This guy didn't lose because he's a bad player. He lost because his opponent was a grandmaster. I mean, against Timoshenko. All right. So knight b1, I don't know. We're following a couple games, but you got Sachs is black. Sachs has actually played the Grand Prix attack with white. So knight b1. I don't know. It's not bad, but I prefer e2. d3. And now we're following Lazic, who's a pretty strong player, I think, in IM, against Sachs Chula. This is one of Sachs's later games. He passed away a little late for the games. we can't accept anymore. Game submissions have to be from subscribers and earlier. You have to make a reservation. So black castle queenside. Castle's queenside is really extreme. I admit that black's position not easy to play. Where does she put her pieces, for example? Bishop d6, maybe knight e7. Yeah, I like this. Is this what Sachs did? Yeah. This makes the most sense. One of the things that is typically recommended in these type of setups for black is that you'll probably put this pawn on f5 if possible. And actually white has to be careful about that. Sometimes if black sets up f5, your bishop on c1 can get sort of shut down. The white like typically wants to play f5 themselves in Grand Prix type positions. I think that's why it's important for black not to put the knight on f6. Maybe they could even play f5 right away. Lazic castled, so Jula could have played f5 here. You know, I don't know. It's an aggressive move. It's totally possible. This was probably some team championship, you know, Hungarian team championship 2010. He was already in his 50s, and he ended up passing away a few years later, maybe around 2015. Really surprising though. He was a little older than me when he passed away. All right. Anyway, castles. I never got to play Sachs, sadly. I played in a couple tournaments where he was there. Castles queenside. That's a very risky decision by black. Now we're kind of glad we kept our knight on the queen side. The knight is on e2. It's attacking the king side, but she's gone queen side. So now our knight is actually happier over here, near her king. You castled and she knew to play f5, so she knows what she's doing. I mean, f5 is a very strong move. Although I don't think you could prevent it, necessarily. Now knight on bd2. Now she plays knight f6. Queen e2. Securing the light squares. There's tension, and I like the tension here. She plays a very weird move now, knight g4. But NMs here do be sus. What does that mean? This is a very... See, speaking of sus, this is a very strange move. Maybe black is taking lessons with Acerbate or something. What is black doing? I have to say I'm very happy to see knight to g4. That move is a very strong sign that black doesn't know what they're doing. You're saying knight g5 looks like a threat? I don't know. You mean knight g5 or knight g4? Even knight g5 is not really a threat. You have some ideas, maybe. This is a very strange move. I would expect... Okay, she didn't want to get forked, and she wanted to develop her pieces. So on bishop b7, it is kind of annoying, right? Now I've got knight f7. She can't go bishop d6. She didn't know what to do. So she decided... You know, but Sachs was probably right in the first place to go with the bishop d6, knight e7 type of thing. It would be a little different, you know, but we say like this, and then we could go wherever we want actually. So we get the bishop. If we got the bishop to c7 first, then black can consider whatever they want to do with knight and f6. So instead they ended up playing this weird move knight g4, which looks totally wrong. Here. Now, I thought she might do something crazy, like a 9-year-old. Let's just hope that she plays b5. Bishop d6 now. Understanding that this is not really a favorable exchange for white. And Mule Skinner now plays h3, but I don't really get it. You know, I don't know. h3, it's fine, but it feels like one of those moves where we might have something better. h3 is like you're freaking out. Nah, I guess it's a good move. You are forcing her to h6. Yeah, it's a good. All right, it's a good move. You're forcing her to h6. This is badly placed. Although, you know, f7 isn't terrible. There's a definite case here for white to not play h3 though. Arsenal fan, I really don't want to trade a good knight for that bishop in a closed position. The knight on c4 is like my best piece. I mean, I need a really good reason to trade that for that knight, that bishop on d6. This is our best piece. And we have potential to go into an ending where we have like bad bishop versus knight. You're concretely not thinking. Knight takes d6 check, queen takes d6, knight g5. There's a lot of possibilities here. I don't imagine this. How does this win a pawn? I don't get it. And we have a very bad bishop. We have a threat of a fork on f7, but what else are we threatening? How does this win a pawn? I just don't get it. What's the variation you said? Knight g5, rook d f8. He takes f5. Yeah, but she has so many other moves. She just go here. She's not obligated to play rook d f8. We can't. I don't really see how we like get in there, you know, and do anything. But the dynamic I want to avoid is this versus this. You know, if we end up with a stupid bishop against the knight, we could get ground down in an unpleasant endgame or be like fighting for a draw or something. But I don't know. I would look for something more dynamic than h3. That knight's not hurting anybody on g4 actually. It can be attacked at any moment, you know. It's not getting in here. I don't know if you have a better move, but bishop d2 comes to mind. You know, developing. And then, of course, there's like a4, blockading the queen side. But okay. h3 is good. Knight h6, bishop d2, bishop c7, logical. And now you play b4. Mule Skinner is is a very good player in these Grand Prix. But I mean, this is extreme, man. I kind of feel like White's position is too good to play this. To me, it looks like White is just seriously better. You have a wide variety of options, and there's only one thing that bothers me here. That knight revolving back through f5 somehow and like forking us on g3. And this capture, take with the pawn, and then d3. So I want to take with the queen on e4. No, I can, probably. But I would say a4, just keeping the position. To me, b4 seems it's possibly very interesting, but a little risky. Okay, it's definitely a cool move. I just feel like maybe White's position is too good to do this. To kind of gamble, you know, like we're gambling a little bit. Black is probably going to take with the pawn. I would expect most of the time black's going to take with the pawn. Because they really, again, they don't want to trade our bad bishop off. I mean, I don't know if our bishop is bad or good, but whatever. I mean, I think this is... our knights are very strong, you know. I don't expect black to take with the knight. But I didn't expect this either. But there's knight f5. You know, this thing bothered me. This coming in here. So I didn't know how he would protect h2. And if you take this way, they hit you with d3. That's the other thing. So I'm thinking f takes e4, queen takes e4. And if knight f5, we could play like rook fe1 and just threaten to take on e6. And get out of any possible fork. But there is an awkward thing here, like, just imagine, for example, this. Pawn takes pawn. And it's like, oof. Our queen gets trapped in the middle of the board. So it's possible to actually get our queen trapped in the middle of the board. But even that, you know, I guess it's not good. I don't want to get my queen trapped in the middle of the board. b5, b5. That's true. That's true. So after take, we have b5 in between move. This is cool. You do have this. This is a very strong idea. And then on something like knight ce7, you could play this, freeing up the e1 square. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but the game is pretty complicated. All right. Anyway, she goes for a queen exchange. We can't take on d5 and fix black's pawn on d5. Here you can allow an exchange on e4 though. I think you think like Nimzovich here. You played b takes c. She took on e4. Are you kidding me? It looks like you're winning. This is crazy. You played b takes c. She took on e4. She took back. You took back. Aren't you like winning here? d3. I just say I'm Aaron Nimzovich. Welcome to the blockade. And go here. I had a game like this like last week. I don't know, man. This looks very, very scary for black. Like black is fully lost. Very lost after c3. I do not like black's position at all. They're a clear pawn down. d3 is fully blockaded. Easy to protect f4. She's not getting the c5 pawn. Her knight's misplaced on h6. This looks disastrous for black. And it'd be easy to miss, too. You know? I'm surprised she didn't go for that. D takes e4. And she plays what? b5. Okay, dramatic move. Takes. Whatever. Exactly. So now here. King b7. I hope that we're not going to regret moving the wrong rook to b1. But you might have made a dogmatic decision here. There is some issues. Like here, looks very good. But on king b7, maybe black has some counterplay. Probably not. I mean, what are they going to do? Damn, maybe you did the wrong rook. Because you could keep the other rook here to go with the advancing the a pawn. c5 was a monster, but this is still very strong for white. We're still a clear pawn up. Yeah, this is a huge position for white. But I think you did the wrong rook. Because you want to go a4, a5. I mean, after this, you have a4 right away. She's like toast. Incommunicado. What's black going to do now? King a6? I mean, dude. This is looking really, really desperate for black. That's a pity, though. It's natural to play rook a, b1. But now she has... You think, oh, maybe it doesn't matter. You have a4 anyway. She did do that anyway. Okay. She doesn't have rook a6. So, okay, you're still very good. This is crushing, right? Rook b5, beautiful move. Now you double, and then g6. She's totally paralyzed. No knight. You have an alien face hugger on g5 if you want one. So you were like super careful now, g3, but maybe you made a mistake. You could have played the face hugger to g5. What is she gonna do after that? Now she's really paralyzed. Bishop e1. This is really devastating. Now they can't move their knight, they can't move their rook, the e6 is hanging, they stopped knight f7. Horrible. I would want to just resign. You let her play knight f7 and get her knight back in the game. This is a mistake. I mean, you're still winning, but she's on life support. Knight e1, a very nice move. But you have to consider even e5. She might be able to get some counterplay here with this sort of g5 thing. So you have choices. You have to make choices, and it's always hard. Knight e1 is a very natural move. She trades. That's fine. We're crushing. There is this possibility of this coming through. I'm expecting you to play, knight d3 there. You went with e5. It looks okay. Here. You moved the king, but why? It's not a bad move, but is there something wrong with knight d3? Does she have some kind of good defense against that? Maybe you're not threatening anything. Well, a5 is coming along nicely. Well, just like you might be hesitating, in some key moment it can make a big difference. She goes back. Now a5 is close. Doesn't work. Almost. King f3. Excellent. Yeah, this is unbelievable if you didn't win. She plays h5. King e4. Oh my god. The most beautiful position ever. She had this. And so this was the only thing in the back of my mind I was a tiny bit worried about. Her having counterplay on the c file. It should not be enough. But you play g4 now. Is there anything else we can do? Because all you have to do is like trade the pieces and she resigns. And you have the upper hand here. Is she threatening something? Like knight a7? g4, okay, I'm sure it's not a bad move. But I was just wondering if we could make progress without... Well, Arsenal fans' plan of like bishop e1. I know that you were talking about that earlier, and I wasn't answering, but I wasn't sure. This plan is still a distinct possibility. Yeah, but this knight a5, I don't want to let that happen. She has knight a7. We can always go back to b2. She gets some sort of stupid counterplay. I feel like we have some kind of knockout. Yeah, but I admit, like, if I was in time pressure, I don't know. I don't see a knockout blow. So g4, take, rook h8. She goes for counterplay. Yeah, but I mean, if she moves the rook down the line, you're going to kill her with a5. I don't mean to tell you so, but probably we should have held off on g4. I admit it wasn't easy. And you play knight b4 check. This is total panic. Bishop e1. The Arsenal fan variation. Rook h2. Yeah, admittedly, This is a little tricky. It's annoying. We shouldn't have rushed with g4. Well, you should have seen this coming, honestly. And admittedly, it's not that easy to make progress. I keep wanting to make a5 work. It just doesn't work. Takes, I don't see anything. Rook takes a5 check. Rook takes b8. Even this endgame, you're probably better. Nah. Unbelievable. Well, okay. a5 takes. Rook takes. Knight takes. She has a dangerous a-pawn. That's not good. This is really an annoying position, man. You just have to be patient. More patient. Probably the best move is something like rook 5 to b2. Knight b4? What about rook 5 b2? You threatened to go here. Nah. It's not so easy. So, okay, g4, take, rook there. Knight b4. Takes. And all rooking games are draws, but maybe not this one. Well, now you like totally. You gave her a draw? No. Okay. She got in my position, so we don't see what actually happened. You have a5 here. Oh, she has takes. So this isn't that easy. Like takes. Rook takes. You're threatening rook d6 check. g5. King f3. Unknown. The unknown. You're winning. So with her king so bad outside, you should be winning anyway. Yeah. But even g5 might be a good move. So you played several more moves. This king d3 though seems like a mistake. Like Arsenal was talking about concrete. This is concrete. I like the a5 because it clarifies situation, you know, a lot. You know, I just realized you have, like, for example, this. Not only this, but you can also do, like, rook takes a5 check, takes, and rook takes b8. And now rook takes, king takes. There's no way black is surviving this. With those two weaknesses. You can't protect those with the same rook. How are you protecting those the same rook? You know, it's very concrete. But you know, you have to remain calm in time pressure, and I know it's not easy. All right, tough game. I've got chapter 8 and chapter 9 left. So this is chapter 8. Thanks, Bill Skinner, as always. This is Brownie. Sorry. Practicing always is d4 knight f6. This is chapter 8. That's d4 e6. Okay, so this is Brownie. No, it was a good game. She doesn't deserve a draw. But you have a tendency to panic in time pressure. Gotta somehow remain calm. Easy for me to say that. I get in ridiculous time pressure. I go for the stone wall. So we got annotations here from Brownie. So he's not here anymore. We're black. The nice thing about the stone wall is that it avoids exchanges of pieces. Keep a lot of pieces on the board. Yeah, this is an interesting move order. The white is typically not playing knight c3 because black has bishop e4. and it's an imzo. A dimzo. But anyway, c6, okay, bishop g2, d5. Now here, this is a very strange move, queen b3. In the Dutch, black rarely can take on c4. Because, you know, it's your whole position is based on d5. If you take on c4, you're giving up everything. So white doesn't need to play queen b3, essentially. The best move is knight f3. But, how bad can queen b3 be? You know, it's a move. Okay, the queen is a little bit misplaced. Bishop d6 is fine, but you have to consider that white can play for an exchange of bishops with bishop f4. When white plays b3 type setups, oftentimes black plays bishop d6, queen e7 to stop the exchange of bishops with bishop a3. But I guess when the bishop is on this diagonal and there's no b3, we should consider the classical type of move here with bishop e7 as well. You know, so he doesn't enable this exchange. I'm not a Stonewall expert, but if we play this, I'm expecting knight h3 followed by bishop f4. So maybe someone can explain this to me. Bishop f4. White is better, but you know, the best move for engine is bishop e7. If there's no validation to what I say, that's it, man. That's embarrassing for the knight on h3. So anyway, all right, fine. We could go back to e7. You can't force an exchange of bishops. Knight f3. That's funny. I played this guy, Alexander Alienkin. But this is a very strange setup that you're playing. We almost never put the knight on d7 like that in the Stonewall. The problem is, with the queen on b3 attacking b7, it's a little tricky to keep that pawn protected. So if we try to do the traditional plan like castle, castle, we can't play bishop d7 because this falls. So how does black set up? Knight bd7 ends up being quite a common move here. But these are... what are these games? I don't know. Random games. Okay. Queen e7. I like king h8 getting off the diagonal with that queen. First off. I think that's a good first step, and then we decide what to do. White's queen is misplaced on b3. Ultimately, we might be able to play for b6. Magnus prefers to play for b6 in the Stonewall. But I think king h8 is very, very useful. It's not clear what White's plan is here. You know, without the b pawn being able to advance, he doesn't have a minority attack. He doesn't have b3. And if we go b6 or something, it might be quite a good idea. b6, bishop a6 type of stuff with the queen on b3 is very annoying for white. So knight on bd7, I don't know what our plan is. a3, kind of a neutral move. Castles, okay, fine. And then bishop g5. It's reasonable for white to trade this guy off in the Stonewall. But it's also possible to play, like, for example, bishop f4. And this is quite double-edged. So on bishop g5, we get out of the pin. I don't think it's a bad move. Very typical Stonewall idea. Now cd5. That's usually a mistake. In this case, I think a rather serious one, because it will extend the diagonal of this bishop, but also the queen is placed here well. Now bishop takes f6. And what does white have to show for this? White has traded off bishop pair, traded on d5, releasing the tension, improving your e6 pawn to d5. Black's now threatening like f4. So white is already like seriously worse. Castles, and now, you know, you need to very seriously consider this move. White is already like seriously behind. And white doesn't seem to have any plan at all. So I think that that move is a big mistake. f4 looks extremely strong for black here. Just like white doesn't have any plan after that. I don't know what I would do, you know. I want to cry with white. White needs to stop that somehow, but he can't play e3. It doesn't matter because you just go f4 anyway and take back with the bishop because it's pinned. And white doesn't really want to castle queenside, although I wouldn't rule it off the table completely. Yeah, I don't like this for white, what he did here. But I don't know, knight e4 isn't a bad move either. Now e3 though, they get an e3, they can go here, knight f4, knight d3, swing around into e5. That's Petrosian's maneuver. If they swing two knights through e5, suddenly they're going to eject your knight with f3. Queen h5, normal move, rook d1, and now b7 is hanging. So I didn't think we could play bishop e6. The annotation is, white grabs the free pawn, but it was never free. If it's free, it's for me. Tony Rook. Rook a c8. Well, it was free, but I don't know if it was worth it. And what are you going to do? Like sack a rook on the king side with f4? Rook takes f4. So the base of your pawn chain is hanging. You defended it. Now white goes back, which is logical. Rook f6. You're threatening brute force attack with rook h6. And now, of course, knight e2. This is like standard Stonewall attack, g5. Do we have enough? I don't think h3 is a good idea. But you never know. So if I'm white here, I don't know. I'm not happy, but maybe a computer could hold. The obvious suggestion is like h4 at some point. There's another thing I'm kind of not quite clear on, you know, right here. Like, why does white voluntarily retreat their queen back to b3? The queen, you know, while it seems like it might be a little bit exposed, I guess you can kick it out with rook c7. But I'll tell you another thing. Maybe this is worth considering. Because here you stay on a7, you stay on c6, you have this coming back here. I'm curious what Stockfish would do with white here. Ah, he plays knight e5. Queen a6, knight e5. The computer doesn't like black's pawn sack, and I concur. You know, I think it's an enterprising idea, and it's certainly playable. But I think it's also indicative of what a lot of chess players do, which is that they're impatient. White's position isn't great. You know, I guess this knight e5 might be enough. Let's go back one more move, you know, to queen h5. Maybe here we keep control of e5, preventing knight e5. Here white black rather, should be more patient. You could play a preparatory move like rook b8, guard b7. There's no need to sacrifice a pawn. There's no shame in taking a moment to defend something, and then moving on to offense. It's possible I could even play on the queen side in some cases, but I think it's worth considering. There's no sacrifice here. This is nothing. We're happy. We take a moment to defend b7, and then we could play bishop e6 and just continue without sacrificing any pawns, just slowly building our position. So, look, both moves are possible. It's a matter of taste, but I think it's just as good to not sacrifice the pawn. A different style of game here. But white doesn't handle the defense maybe that well. It looks like this is a mistake. Natural move, but doesn't do anything. Black's actually not threatening it. The queen is not in danger of getting trapped. It has a6, a7, sometimes c6, and it's kind of active on b7, where it's like it's keeping an eye on this rook, it's keeping an eye on the pawns. If it's not in danger of getting trapped, white shouldn't have retreated it. So this is a mistake. He's trying to x-ray here, but there's nothing there. And then rook f6, and then like these type of ideas are possible. But the more white hesitates here, the worse it gets. And now h3 looks like a really bad idea. I've seen a lot of people go down in flames like that. h3 is probably on the border of helping black. If things get really bad, we might have to play h4, it looks like. But another thing to look at here is this whole knight e5 business. Okay, the knight is hanging on e2 now. That's a huge problem. If the queen is on a6, Arsenal fan, the knight on e2 is protected. I mean, f4 is obviously a big idea for black, of course. But this is like if you study Botvinnik's 100 selected games. There's some games, a couple games that are similar in the Dutch. Very standard Stonewall attack. And this is kind of how I lost to Misler in February. It was a Queen's Indian, but it turned into a Dutch. And he had some sort of sack on f2. Real brutal. With that rook leaving f1. Yeah, rook f8, and now we're really looking at serious possibilities of a knight takes f2. Really nasty. So white goes into a total curling up in a ball. This was defend the knight on e2. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's sack immediately, I wouldn't be surprised if knight takes f2 worked. Let's take a look. It's a crunching sort of move. There's a problem with this, maybe. So king takes, yeah. Well, let's see. I mean, we got every piece in the attack. So it looks really dangerous. It doesn't work. Fuck. He takes f4. It's not enough. We're down a piece. Damn. So we gotta watch the bishop takes e4. Why don't you play king h8? King h8 should be played at some point anyway. The king's better on a dark square. I would expect white would play like queen here, and we can just drop this back. It doesn't matter if it's on e6 or d7. But the point is, like, it's like a slow-moving car at wreck that you can't stop it. You know what I mean? It's coming. You can take your time. I mean, it doesn't even feel like white's up a pawn here. So f4 right away. Wow, okay. Nice call. Because he doesn't have bishop takes e4. Okay. Probably doesn't have bishop takes e4. So we don't need to play king h8. Except for e takes f4 again. White doesn't play e takes f4, but all right, we're going to need to see your license here. The computer's going to be like, bishop takes e4. Show me the money. What do? Do you take back? Or do you take on h3? It's winning. Both are winning. Wow. Well, close to winning anyway. Almost +2. It's close. Yeah, I mean, he has to play e takes f4. This is like the only move. And then it's a really tough call between bishop takes h3 and g takes f4. I don't know what he would have done, because they're both very, very difficult to choose between. But instead, white played g4, which, this is based on the hope that, I guess, black's queen will get trapped on h4. We have mates with pawn takes f2. You know, that's brutal. Like, you could play pawn takes pawn here. Oh, no, there's a knight on e2. I forgot. Okay. Queen h4. Maybe he didn't see you're attacking f2, and he thought he was, like, trapping your queen or something. But I was honestly thinking you might be able to sack your queen or something. But f2. He has to take the knight. That's a disaster in every case. Yeah, it's lost. This is lost for white. It's totally lost. Everything loses. g4 was the final straw. Ooh. Yeah, like, literally everything wins. Except maybe this. Our queen's a little short of squares here. I'm kind of freaked out by that. I'm not sure we did this the right way. Knight f1, but why knight f1? Because on rook f1, oh my god, on rook f1, queen e2, and the knight has no squares. Yeah, okay, but he can go back. This is still not 100% clear. Okay, so you take. You take on e3? I'm still not convinced. You can't take. It's guarded by the queen. Oh, damn. Rook f1. It is a draw. Fuck. He got a draw here. So we blundered with knight g3 check. He does. He perpetuals the queen, or drives it back to a6. Black has to have another move. I couldn't even decide what to play. I mean, this, maybe? Pawn takes e4. This is just devastating. Imagine this. Bishop takes h2. The best variation of all would be this. I mean, maybe rook takes h3 works. No? Ah. Ooh. Vacuum packed. Yeah, that's brutal. So this is a huge blunder, knight g3 check. And the guy misses rook f1. So you would have to go here. And then after this, you have to go back to a6 or somewhere. And the computer thinks that, well, you could still play for a win, but I mean, it's not clear who's better now. He's managed to defend the whole position. So. Alright, guys, one more game. We're going to finish this up. But we got a combo here. F takes g3, white blunders with knight f1. And now rook takes f3. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Another nice move. And another nice move. This almost looks conceived, like it was conceived, composed. Beautiful finish. Elegant. Okay. Thank you. Last game. Last game from Practicing Always. This is a FIDE rated event against an NM. Alright. I'm going to assume we're white. Okay. Against the Budapest, if you want to decline it, you have your best option is E3. But you shouldn't. I mean, you should accept the gambit with D takes E5. I'm just saying, if you want to decline the gambit, your only really good option is E3. That would either be like a reversed French advance or some kind of exchange French. Alternatively, you could try maybe knight F3. But objectively, we have to accept this gambit. It's not an option. So after D5, black has a good game. Black's probably equal. This move kind of overextends. Your overextended pawns aren't great. And black has a very good game here. They have a lot of different tries. You know, bishop c5, b5, c6, bishop b4 check. All of the above. This is like what I would say is the standard move now. You know, the famous trap like knight, bishop g5, knight e4, or bishop takes f2 check, like a Legos mate. Here. Yeah, so if you play knight c3, maybe that's slightly better than e3. I'll say this though, if black doesn't play energetically, they could end up with that space. Look at black's score with d6 here. 17 games. No, 6 games. 6 games. Yeah. Queen c2 now. Queen c2 looks like a reasonable move, but wouldn't be my first priority. I don't understand why you're hesitating with knight c3, because this move makes the most sense. You're controlling a lot of key squares, developing naturally. It almost appears like you're afraid of bishop e4 or something. The knight is well placed on c3. So this is kind of a weird move. In itself, it's not bad. Here. Another move that's a little bit unusual, probably in itself not bad. You're actually aiming at this. Rather unconventional. But, you know, it's possible that your opponent who plays the Budapest maybe doesn't have a feel for these kind of closed positions. Still, a5 is a good move. Maybe not the most flexible. It feels a little early to play a5. But black has to make a decision how he wants to play this, you know. For example, playing for f5, I think c6 makes a lot of sense. But maybe a structure that black is not really comfortable with playing normally. So a5, also a typical move. Here, a3, bishop d7. You know, very routine play from black so far. Knight g3. And now he finally plays c6. But it's like white's got some chances. You know, you got some ideas here with knight f5. Yep. And now, wow, g6. Walking into h4, possibly. I really don't want to play. I really don't want to play g6. You have h4. And if h5, bishop takes g6 here. This actually looks extremely dangerous for black. What is he going to do after h4? The point is that this move would be good in some cases, but I think you had this right away. There's just... It's terrible for black. Otherwise, you're playing h5. Okay, but I mean, if you're not sure, you don't have to do that. But I think you lose a lot of dynamism now. He's going to come to the c file. You're going to need to move your queen again. It's a whole different game. Black plays king g7. Why? This is a really strange move by black. I guess he wants to move his knight to g8. I do not understand king g7. I mean, there's a lot of moves that black potentially play here. Knight c7, rook c8, pawn takes pawn. I'd rather wait on that. Okay, he's afraid of maybe knight e4. But I don't think that's enough to really hurt. Yeah, maybe this pawn is a problem. Yeah, he has to watch this. You're threatening knight e4. Pretty good move. But I don't like king g7 anyway. And this is a very strange move. Actually, maybe go here for black. Then you have f4. You don't. This bishop's too good. You have to move your king, threatening f4. Black can always play f5. Yeah, he should play knight e8, it looks like. Guarding d6, because I want to be able to meet this. And make sure my d6 pawn is protected. So that way my d6 pawn is protected. But I have no clue why black played king g7. I mean, this is a really bizarre move. Like, maybe he wanted to play h5 and defend the g6. It's pretty crazy. You play king h1 and now black goes knight g4. Yeah, after knight e8, it's clearly okay. Oh no. Yeah, but I mean, why didn't you play this? This is a strong move. He has a problem. He has to give you his bishop. Knight e4, knight e4. Let's say f5, knight takes c5, knight takes c5. But now for the rest of the game, you know, and this is why I'm questioning, why would he put his bishop on g7? Because here you're going to end up with a situation where your bishop's coming to b2. No dark square bishop. It's very strange to put the king on g7 when you don't have a dark square bishop over there. It would be safer on g8, probably. But you missed knight e4. Yeah, king h1 is bad. Now he gets this attack. You lose a pawn. Would it be better to take this way and trade off his dangerous bishop or not? Because his knight can come to the end of the game, maybe. So by doing this is kind of strange, though. I mean, your bishop is blocked. His knight is out of play. But it's hard for you to complete your development. I see you have a trick here, knight e4. Now you take. So you get a similar position, just you lost that pawn. So, this is the question. Black is up a pawn, but you have an unopposed dark square bishop, and black has some weaknesses on the dark squares. You played e4, and now black. Black does a combination with bishop takes h3, which I would argue is a little bit greedy. Normally, my advice to people is like when you're up material, consolidate. Don't try to grab more. So this position looks very solid for black if he's careful. He could play a lot of things. But you make sure this combination, I mean, this is, I get it. You know, he has queen g3 check. But there could be something he missed here. I don't see it. He's 2 pawns up now. So black gets overconfident. Thing is, opposite color bishops are very dynamic. So sometimes material doesn't matter that much. Bishop d7, and you're possibly taking on c6. Because d6 can fall. Bishop g2. Say what? Arsenal fan, where? What bishop takes g2? Well, queen g3? Well, what does this do? Oh, bishop h6 check. Yeah, Arsenal's getting carried away. But I'm wondering about this. You have to be tempted to take that pawn, but probably it was better that you didn't. But you're lost here. Black needs to show some technique. So he locks the center with c5. Now he has b5 break. You don't have a4 to stop him. You're losing. But queen d2 threatening. Bishop g5. There's potentially some g3 now. This is looking desperate. We're really desperate now. You know, in that position, I wonder, should black really take with the pawn? He's a little overconfident now. Though he's still winning. Yeah, I mean, this is a clear 2 pawns up. King g6. I mean, I guess he didn't like you doubling rooks and coming down on b7, but I mean, it's way more normal to put the king on h7. If you put the king on h7, what's the problem? You know, I can guard the 7th rank with my rook or something, you know. It's a little bit crazy, like rook a7, whatever. You know, there's nothing happening here. I'll just guard the 7th rank. Putting the king on g6 is a bit funny. Yeah. Black's regretting that already. Oh no. Now c5 falls. Oh my god. Yeah. The guy put his king on g6. That changes everything. Now triple attack. Rook f6 is forced. Look at that. Connect 3. And you have bishop f2 now. Turning bishop h4. Plus the lever with c5. Now white's like better. 1 pawn down and better. Played this. It's unbelievable. Yeah, well, he almost has something. Now it looks like a panic moment with bishop f3. I don't think bishop f3 is working. Maybe. Wow. Takes. No checks. Your king is very safe on h2 when he goes to a1. Oof. This mate. Mate on the next move? No. He has G5. Queen E7. Ouch. That was a terrible turnaround. He was really overconfident. I thought even taking with the pawn on F5 was a bit much. The point is, like, when you're winning, you need to, like, play more solid and not take any risks. You know, you have nothing. You have everything to lose at that point. Don't be greedy. Anyway, good job hanging in there. Thanks everyone for joining us. We're gonna be back. I'll be back tomorrow with some blitz stream at around 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'll see you Friday and then Sunday with our classical simul. Sunday at 7 p.m.